Right, let that start. Doop. And then, all right, so let's go to the YouTube page. Just get the YouTube link, not the StreamYard link. Tainted glove. There it is. The ALOHAll Hall of Fame ballot. There it is. Boom. That time we didn't have any problems that time. Glove. I'm hearing myself echo. That's really creepy. Cubs. White Sox. Hashtag Bears. Oh, perfect. It perfectly fits.
Nice.
We did. All right, now I'll do the regular Twitters.
The regular tweets.
Regular Twitter. Oh, what is that? I don't know what that is. Buzzword. Long toes. What body part is this? Oh, people are asking. That's really funny. All right. My trolling tweet. Ooh, we are live like a motherfucker. Sorry.
Sweet.
Here for your viewing pleasure. Please enjoy our dissection collection. I want to say erection collection, but I can't. Sometimes it's not safe for work, but live dangerously.
That's right. It's a short week. A lot of people will be out, so you can get away with more.
It's the Thanksgiving extravaganza.
Okay. Yeah. We give thanks.
And with this, by the way, I brought a special Thanksgiving drink too. I'm going to talk about in a second. That I'm going to
nice.
Podcast. I'm not normally wouldn't do this, but I only have tomorrow for school. So honestly, if tomorrow's a little bit rough, it's fine. I have 3 classes and I'm out.
Good for you. I actually finished off one of the last tasks I needed to have done for the year. I actually finished today, so things are shaping up well.
Cubs, White Sox, the Bears. Not Bud Dares. Bud Dares, not the Bears. That was nice. I was a little dyslexic there. And then goes
Hi, Yumper.
Ghostbusters Afterlife. There we go.
Yeah.
Boop. Tweet it. All right. Ready
cool.
to rock now. Even though I put the heat on. Open up my window. It's hot in this house. All right. Okay. All right. We're ready to go. Everything looks good. And the broadcast is going. So hit record. All right. And then we'll go ahead and start the thing. So here we go.
4, 3, 2, 1. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It's time for The Tainted Glove, starring your favorite man of questionable character, Aloha Mr. Hand.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And the Holy Reverend K-Fitz himself. It's go time, so grab a beer, grab a bite, and settle in. It's time for The Tainted Glove.
Aloha. And today is November 22nd, 2021. Today is a day where a Billy Joel lyric commemorates a tragic point in American history. JFK blown away. What else do I have to say? That was 58 years ago. Tomorrow is the 58th anniversary of a true geek extravaganza with the airing of the first episode of Doctor Who on the BBC. So strap it in. Unfortunately, we got to talk about the Bears. But with that, I will turn it over to my partner in crime, K-Fitz. K-Fitz, take it away.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We're deep into a Monday Night Football. I mean, it's already been 5 minutes, and the Bucks have already scored a touchdown, and my fantasy week is going to hell in a handbasket, but that's fine. Glad you could join us here on this Thanksgiving, this Friendsgiving, this Drinksgiving week as we head towards the favorite holiday of my waistline, and because I am a stuff.
Everyone else's.
I'm a stuffing whore. So,
and it's a true 108 holiday, too.
This is true. This is the well, I mean, what screams JFK blown away like spraying cranberry all over your plate. So it sounds perfect. And then of course getting it all over your dress. But anyway, so yeah, we got a good show for you guys tonight. We're gonna go over the Bears. Obviously, we got to talk about the Bears this weekend. Again, another late loss. We're talking about Matt Nagy's last stand, or should we say sit, or more so someone sitting on him and pooping on him, whatever it is. Not good.
Just remember, PU,
yeah, and of course Ryan Pace failure as well as the Bears general manager, and the direction the Bears might need to be going. From there, we're going to jump to the Hall of Fame voting. The ballots kind of dropped out today, so there's been a lot of talk about who should be voted for, who should be voted against, and who shouldn't get votes at all. And the Golden Era Committee and how they handle those that have left the ballot, because there are a few big names leaving the ballot this year. And then a couple of smorgasbord, if we will, of Cubs, White Sox banter, just a little bit of stuff. Cubs made a couple moves, are in the talks, are in the running, at least allegedly, for a decent little pickup. White Sox are being rumored with a couple big names as well, both beginning with the letter S. And then we'll move on to talk a little bit about Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters Afterlife, the new film that came out this past weekend that grossed more than $40 million at the box office, which was fantastic. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Bruce Springsteen No Nukes concert that just came out on video and you said on digital listening formats, right? And then we'll talk a little bit about Pete's experience with Dirty Harry this past week in the theater. And then we'll talk a little bit about we might delve into some conspiracy theories with JFK, but not JFK Jr. We'll stick with the old guy. The old JFK, the normal conspiracy theory, not the one of someone coming back from the dead after being drowned in a plane crash in 1999. Yeah, not that JFK, the one that actually the conspiracy is about how he was killed, not that he's coming back with half a head like Ronald Reagan. So with that, all that, and of course we've got a little bit more. I'm sure there'll be some shenanigans here in the chat. But before we get going, I do want to make sure that we give a shout out to our dude who spends so much time trying to keep the deer from causing problems in the community. So it's very nice that he's really done this for us. We really appreciate his job of keeping the deer population down because how else are the Yad Dogs supposed to run free?
Coming at you straight from the Dog Tree Stand Studios. Dog. 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 Yeah, dog.
So with that and more, we've got your weekly dose of Yeah Dogs, as well as the beginning and the end of the podcast when you see it on Spotify, iTunes, MySpace, whatever else the hell you listen to, Laserdisc. You'll also hear the Yeah Dog voicemails of the week that we get in aplenty, and he never really knows where we're going to use them, and we never really know what we're going to get. So it's a fantastic combo of complete uncertainty and chaos. So, we lost you, Pete. Did you lose your volume? Are you muted? Did you mute yourself?
There. Is that better now?
My girlfriend wishes she had that button for me, but yeah, no.
I must have swiped it by accident. But and on Yeah Dog, I don't even know what it is until I listen to the podcast because I just want the entertainment value of it.
Yeah.
And I just want the 30-second to a minute hit of deep thoughts with Yeah Dog.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And by the way, this Thanksgiving podcast or Friendsgiving or Drinksgiving podcast, whatever you want to call it, is brought to you by Good Day Soju, peach flavored. Ooh. Delicious natural flavors imported from La Habra, California. Oh, no, South Korea. Excuse me, South Korea, but California. Good day, though. Good day. Good day.
Have a good day.
See, I have this because Saturday night we went to karaokeing, and apparently on my way out, as we were getting to the lift, I bought a bucket of 3 more sojus and the bucket because I wanted to have a bucket for podcasting. Apparently, I paid the guy $10 to give me the bucket. That was me. And then went to grab the remote out of my car and then left my keys on the front seat on my car and left it there unlocked overnight with my keys sitting in the seat down in Asian Town, which is not always the nicest area of town. So I totally just tested the area and it's safe. Nobody even saw. I left the keys out in the light and you could see the keys and nobody stole my car. So thank you, Soju, and the forgetfulness of Good Day. I hope you're having a good day. because I'm about to have some good day. So
Yes.
before we get going, cheers to you guys. A little soju for you guys. Little cheers. And to you, Pete. To you guys, you have a happy Thanksgiving, a happy
Happy
Drinksgiving,
Thanksgiving.
happy
Drinking
Friendsgiving,
a Cherry Coke Zero.
happy Detroit Lions giving.
Yes.
Happy, Matt Nagy's giving and taking away.
Well, hopefully it's Matt Nagy being taken away along with fucking Ryan Pace.
Oh, God, that's incredible. That's so dangerous. That's so dangerous. That is really good stuff. All right, well, let's get to it. First and foremost, speaking of pain and drinking our sorrows away, most Bears fans are now at that point where we are at the every week we think we can't. There's no way that Matt Nagy can somehow keep his job by Monday, and every Monday hits, and well, here we are watching Monday Night Football, and there is not a report of Matt Nagy losing his job. So let's go ahead and talk about it. The Bears had a lead. They actually had a decent. They're facing a backup quarterback, no Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields. You think looks like they should be a perfect matchup. Defense, though, right before the game starts, we lose Akeem Hicks to the Bears lose Akeem Hicks to the injured list. Season's over. Jonathan Trevathan. Daniel Trevathan. Dan Trevathan. Lose him for the season now. Akeem Hicks out. Bears defense gutted 3 major starters, a couple Pro Bowlers. Still with no Eddie Jackson. Still, so the Bears defense went in a little bit shorthanded, a lot of it shorthanded. And the Bears offense, all it had to do was put up 20 points. All it had to do was put up 20 points against a defense that last week got beat up by Miami. And what turned out, the Bears looked like they scored maybe a 2 broken plays. The only offense the Bears had all day were 2 broken plays. A screen pass that Darnell Mooney took to the house 60 yards, and then a broken play, missed coverage where Goodwin was standing all by himself on the other side of the defense. 2 plays, everything else, junk. And the Bears end up losing. They scored a touchdown late, and then the defense gassed because it's been on the field quite too much. Boom. They give up this game-winning drive to a backup quarterback in his first NFL start of his career, from a guy from Utah, let alone anywhere else. But so it hurts. So a lot of stuff's happened, a lot of stuff coming out. We've got reports of the locker room being lost. Some from pretty credible sources too. Schultz, who does actually a podcast with Allen Robinson, said that the locker room has been lost, not just some, all. And so I guess, Pete, I know you've got some things to say. I know you've been itching at it like a splinter in your brain. So let's get to it, man. What are your thoughts on the loss, and what is grinding your gears?
Well, the loss, first off, I want to talk about Justin Fields. Now, if you go back and listen to one of our earliest podcasts, I brought up the fact that I did not want Justin Fields to play this year. I wanted him to be basically the equivalent of a redshirt this year, because I did not trust the offensive line. I did not trust the coach. I did not trust the receivers. Unfortunately, I question whether or not we will see Justin Fields on the field again this year. Andy Dalton has been named QB number 1 for Thursday, because I don't know how many people were aware of this, but there was a report last night that Justin Fields went to the hospital with a rib injury. This morning during his press conference, Matt Nagy would not hit on it. He would not talk about it. He was still being tested or under observation.
He said Justin has ribs.
Ribs. Yes, he said Justin has ribs.
That was his word salad of the week. Justin has ribs.
Yes, and I was like, it's a good thing he didn't say Justin has McRibs, or Beef Loaf might have went and tried to eat them. But
I absolutely would have been. Woo.
But this mess is an absolute organizational failure. It starts at the absolute top with George, with Ted Phillips, with Ryan Pace, and with Matt Nagy. Everyone has culpability in this absolute train wreck of a team. Now, the one argument everybody likes to make, the McCaskies need to sell the team. Not happening. It's worth about $4 billion. It's probably going to double in value when they get Arlington Park figured out and put a stadium there that they will own. You're looking at this franchise probably getting almost doubling in value once they get that stadium up and running. They're not selling. So don't even try and use that argument. The next argument is George and Ted should not be making football decisions. I know Ted, they've talked about Matt and Ryan being their football guys. why the fuck was Ted Phillips involved in the hiring of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy? He's not a football guy. You don't have a football guy to go out and interview these candidates to determine if they're credible or not credible. The first thing you need to do is go hire someone, even if you have to give them ridiculous sums of money. Think of it doing the Jim Finks thing, where you basically give them an ownership stake to come in. You have to get the best. This isn't the Jacksonville Jaguars we're talking about. This is the Chicago Bears, the charter franchise of the fucking NFL. And you run it like a clown show. First. Second, Ryan Pace is nothing more than a hipster doofus. He's the guy who's always going to go against the grain and make the pick that no one is expecting, so that if big if it works out, he looks like the hipster genius. Oh, look, I was on that guy before everyone else. He's the guy who was telling you how I saw REM and U2 before they became popular. To me, they sold out when they became popular. No, asshole. What happened with REM and U2 is that all the people who listened to them in college graduated and went out in the real world and got jobs and took them with them, dumbass. So that's another thing. Pace needs to go. He's a fucking clueless clown. Nagy? Okay, Matt Nagy, let me explain this to you. The way the offense in the NFL works, it's a vertical game. It's not horizontal. You want to run forward, not side to side. Quit calling these plays where you're basically swinging the guy out where he can't do anything. The game is vertical. It's not horizontal. Take the field. Go down the field. Quit running side to side. Quit with these fucking bubble screens and all this other bullshit you run. Let me tell you this, Mr. Offensive Genius. Your offense is last in the NFL. Last offensive genius. Second, out of the last 3 years, I think it's 21 games out of the last 3 years, they did not score in the first half. Not score at all. They play for field goals. They don't play for touchdowns. Also, you are ruining Justin Fields. You don't know how to build a game plan, because if you did, you would take the talent that you have in Justin Fields and build a game plan around him. He is not a 7-step drop back pass traditional passer. He's not. Use his skills to his advantage. RPOs, play action, rollouts, bootlegs. What are you waiting for? The most damning thing I think I saw was when Foles was caught on camera telling Dalton,
He's taking a word.
this ain't working. This offense ain't working. And it still ain't working. And frankly, Matt Nagy, when you face the media anymore, you look like me in class when I didn't know the answer and I didn't want to get called on. So I was sitting there looking like I was taking a shit in my pants because I was afraid of getting called on. This just needs to be blown up. And further, don't look for any help in the next couple of years. You know why? You don't have a first-round draft pick the next year. The Giants are laughing all the way to the bank because they're going to get a pretty damn good draft pick with how pathetic this team looks. And don't be surprised to see that the Bears may lose out the rest of the year. They very easily could lose out the rest of the year. They have won what should be a winnable game Thursday, but I don't trust them to win it. I really don't. I think this team is broken. I think this locker room is broken. I think there's a lot of disharmony is the wrong word because I don't believe in that crap, but I just think there's a lot of players who are like, I'm not playing hard and risking injury for this. I'm going to just do what I have to do, go through the motions so I can get my next contract.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, this team needs to be blown up. Or to quote the Joker in the first Batman, to quote Jack Nicholson as the Joker, this team needs an enema. It needs something.
And you say the blow up thing too. So I mean, honestly, if Ryan Pace is out and Matt Nagy are both out, they could obviously. I mean, it's not a far gone conclusion that they use the capital. I mean, it's, Khalil Mack still has trade value. I mean, they can still get probably a first rounder for Khalil Mack. I would think at this point.
I don't think so with that contract.
But that's the question mark. Is the team willing to take on that money? But there's a potential for them to get a first round pick back. But I don't know with Pace. Obviously, Pace is better off without a first round pick. Normally,
but how pathetic is that statement? Think about the statement you just made. Pace is better off without a first round pick. Think of what that statement says.
I mean, he's really only hit major pay dirt with Roquan Smith. I mean, Floyd panned out just with a better coaching staff.
Yes. Kevin White didn't pan out.
Kevin White didn't. That was an injury thing. I mean, Tevin Jenkins, they drafted a guy that's had back surgery, hasn't played it down after being drafted.
Trubisky. I was one of the Mitch Trubisky, this guy stinks guys. I'm really starting to take a look and wonder whether or not was it Mitch, was it Nagy, or was it a combination of both? I don't think it's all on Mitch anymore. I really don't. I think I'm reading Brandon Stokes, and poor Brandon. Brandon, this is during the end of the Sox season. We were in the park talking, and he said he wanted to take a friend of his to see the Ravens. So I sold him my tickets for yesterday's game. So Brandon had the good fortune of sitting there with his friend, who's a Ravens fan, watching that debacle. And think about this. The Ravens started a quarterback who never started a game. This was the first game he ever started with 2 hours notice because it didn't come out till about 10 o'clock Sunday morning that Jackson was not going to be in the game. 2 hours notice, and he looked like trash for what? What would you say, about 57 minutes?
Oh, yeah. Hey, the Bears defense did their job. Yeah, undrafted free agent.
Yes.
Not even a draft-worthy player, unfortunately. Not to mock the guy, but
right.
No excuse. Yes. But right. I mean, and again, the Bears defense was shorthanded, but I think I might have said it before we got on. Maybe I said it already once we got on. I don't even know now at this point. Soju's working. Woo. Is the fact that all the Bears had to do was put up 20 points. Put up 20 points. You put up 20 points, you win. How do you not? The Dolphins put up 20 points against that defense.
Yep.
And the Bears offense can't with the offensive guru, the quarterback whisperer, Matt Nagy, the grifter. Come on. I mean, honestly, Gilbert Gottfried is more of a quarterback whisperer than Matt Nagy. And that dude doesn't ever whisper. It's always, oh, God, dang, oh, this hurts. Like, he doesn't even whisper, and he's more of a quarterback whisperer.
Yes.
Oh, this is great. I'm molting. Like, you can't do it. And so that's where we're dealing with Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy isn't even a whisperer. He's a quarterback ruiner. He's going to get Justin Fields killed. And you talked about it. Justin Fields is in the emergency room because Matt Nagy can't put together a protective scheme that keeps his franchise quarterback from getting drilled time after time. Was
not
Justin
only that
good on Sunday? Not really. But
right.
How about this? How about you this is the weirdest thing. They didn't run a single RPO or rollout or plan target for the tight end until Andy Dalton entered the game.
Yes.
Insane to think that your slow, immobile quarterback immediately gets an RPO and you're fast, one of the fastest quarterbacks in the league, doesn't get a single RPO in the ball game. But it's almost like he's calling plays for Dalton when it's Fields, and he's calling plays for Fields when it's Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
And he had two good passes, a screen pass, easy, and then a wide open wide receiver 30 yards down the field. I mean, if you miss that, you might as well just go ahead and call it a day forever.
And to your point, it's not only on Nagy, because everything you said, absolutely agree with. It's also on Pace because he did not. They went and got the franchise quarterback. And if you remember at the end of last year, that whole press conference where Ted Phillips is saying, did we get the quarterback right? No. Did we win enough games? No. But all the other pieces are there. No, they're not. You're paying at least 3 defensive players more money then you're paying that entire offensive line. The entire offensive line. You have a 39-year-old guy. Granted, he may go in the Hall of Fame one day, but he's 39. It's not like he's 29 and in the prime of his career. He's 39. And he may be your best lineman. Think about that. He may be your best lineman. You draft a lineman who needs back surgery. So don't tell me, hipster doofus jackass, that you know what you're doing. And to someone who put in here that, unfortunately, Ryan Pace may be, a recipient of the Dilbert principle, which means he rises to the level of his incompetence. They like him as a person, so they're going to move him out of this job into something different instead of doing the thing that they need to do, which is tear the Band-Aid off and fire him, fire Nagy, go out and get someone. And there's names bandied about left and right of who they should get. What I want is someone to come in, and I'll use the Cubs and I will use the Blackhawks, even though it's hard to talk about the Blackhawks right now with all the things that they've had going on. But I'll use the Bulls as an example. They decided it's time. We can't keep this path going anymore. We need to do something. Now with the Cubs, they were fortunate that there was chicken and beer in the Red Sox locker room that led to Theo getting let go.
I'm
they
going
were
to say,
fortunate for that.
I totally have to interrupt. Tom Brady just on a quarterback keeper, which was horribly slow and bad, but he slides. He actually, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but it looked like he just intentionally kicked the shins out on McKinney of the Giants. Like literally like karate, like Ty Cobbed him. Boom. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. He Ty Cobbed him. Tom Brady just Ty Cobbed McKinney with the Giants and then jumped up pumped. How is that not a penalty? That's intent to hurt somebody. That could have taken that guy's knee out.
Did he sharpen his spikes like Ty Cobb did?
No, Pete, Tom. Take it back a notch there, dude. Go open mouth kiss your kid again and relax. My God, that was brutal. Holy smoly. You say this too, and I'm going to give the Chalsa a little bit of credit for this nice joke. Yeah. Matt Nagy handles quarterbacks the way that Fredo can handle it. It ain't the way that I wanted it. I can handle things. I'm smart. Yeah. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Don't be you, Matt.
I just want to know if Matt Nagy was banging cocktail waitresses 2 at a time.
Fredo.
Or was going to see a donkey show with Johnny Ola.
Oh, Johnny Ola. Or Junior Soprano.
Yes.
So, and this whole Nagy thing, again, let's jump just a little bit too, because you lose the locker room. You have someone that, again, those dudes do give a shit about Justin Fields. Justin Fields is someone that matters to them.
And they see the talent.
And they see him getting killed out there. They see him being put in harm's way every snap by some of these guys. I would almost be venture to say that Matt Nagy could be replaced by any one of those backup quarterbacks right now, and they would probably still do the same job. They're better backups than Matt Nagy ever was as a quarterback in the NFL. And those guys could probably do a better job with calling plays than Matt Nagy could as well. And I see these guys. So you lose that. They see what they're putting Justin Fields through. So you lose the locker room there. You have a defense that's banged up, that's already tired of bailing this guy out for 4 years now. Mm-hmm. Every good thing that's happened to Matt Nagy was the result of somebody else doing their job, not him. Offense can't score for shit. You're the 30th ranked offense in football, but your defense keeps you in games. That's not your forte, bro. You're a quarterback. You're an offensive guru. So every single guy you bring in to be your defensive coordinator saves your ass every single time. It's about time for him to realize that he is nothing but a quarterback coach in this league, and that's a loose term, meaning stay away from my quarterback and don't call plays. Just go out there and be you over there with the kickers if you have to, but get the fuck away from our guys, our franchise guys. And this is where
I want to respond to 2 things that Justin posted because I think they're great points. The first one is he says it's not just Pace and Nagy. Phillips has to be gone as well. Absolutely agree. But what's going to happen with Phillips, and you could see this coming from a mile away because this is how the Bears operate. Phillips will be put in charge of Arlington Heights. Because remember, Phillips got to where he is in this organization because he is the one who smoothed over the relationship with the city when they did the Soldier Field remodel after the 2001 season. Because Michael McCaskey screwed the relationship with Mayor Daley up so bad they had to move him out and put Ted Phillips in charge to smooth things over, if you will. The second thing that Justin said is, so is this Dalton starting a move from higher up to protect Fields because Nagy is being Dan Mullen? No, I think this move is higher up because Fields went to the fucking hospital. And, you know, to me, personally, if you put him out there and he's got, and as of earlier today, you didn't know the severity of the injury he has to his ribs.
He's got ribs.
Yeah, he's got ribs.
He's got ribs.
Criminal negligence.
I got ribs.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for the word salad. What else he got?
Yeah, exactly.
He's got ribs, and he's got a foot. He has two of them, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a diagnosis.
So
I'm going to call him. Wait, hold on real quick. What do you think? You know what will heal his leg faster? A bubble.
Yeah, exactly. Put him in there like Bubble Boy.
A jet sweep.
Yeah, put him in there like the Bubble Boy, that first role that, what's his name, ever had.
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yes, Jake Gyllenhaal.
You want $500? Oh, what a great movie. Underrated for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll take that. I got first half Bucks, and I got Bucks 11 for the game, I think I got. So now it's at 7. We'll take that now. I need the defense to tee off a little bit here.
So my fear is usually the problem with this is such a loaded statement. I don't want to ever see the Bears lose. I want to see them win. But there is, unfortunately, the Bears are in a position where it would be better if they lost because maybe they would clean house. The problem is you aren't competing for a first-round draft pick. All you're doing by losing is making the draft pick that the New York Giants get better. That's all you're doing because you had to give away the farm multiple times to try and get the quarterback position right. And again with Trubisky, I don't know if it was Trubisky not being I do know Trubisky was not a number 2 overall pick, talent-wise. Not even close. But I don't think Nagy helped him at all. I think it's obvious that part of the problem with Trubisky was Nagy and his offensive genius in running a horizontal offense instead of a vertical offense.
Yeah, gotta go north-south, not east-west.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And sometimes I think they lose sight of that.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and one of the things I see him starting to do, which annoys the hell out of me, it is the 3rd and 5, and you throw a 3-yard pass hoping to get the yak for the first down. Here's a hint. Go 6 yards. That way, if you get hit and you fall back, you might still get the first down.
And the thing is, too, and you're seeing this a lot, too, with the scheming. Not only does the scheme, again, you need 12 yards and you're scheming for something that's 6 yards, and you're assuming that you're going to let your athletes get the rest. Like, everything that Matt actually does, it always seems to be relying on other people's gifts. Mm-hmm. The defense taking cover in his ass. I'm going to throw a regular screen pass and just, God forbid, let me pray to God that this guy snaps like what Mooney did on Sunday.
Yeah.
And how often does that really happen?
Right.
The whole league has figured out how to stop his offense. They're not giving up that big play. It's just not happening. Right. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this too. The Bears, especially the offense, is demonstrating one of my absolute biggest frustrations with the White Sox. And that is hope for luck, not make luck. And the scenario you just described is hoping for luck. Oh, it's 3rd and 10. We'll run a 6-yard pass and hope we can get the other 4 yards.
Yeah.
Instead of running an 11-yard pattern and getting the first down.
Yeah. Do it again, whore. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry, I was just channeling my Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Jude, stop it, Johnny. Sorry.
Yeah.
I listened to Dana Carvey stand up the other day. Oh, that's definitely a pleasurable sensation.
Yes.
I think she's flooded. Katharine Hepburn.
But,
sorry.
But I just don't see them winning Thursday. The Lions.
I think they're going to blow out the Lions. I think this is just like what Matt Nagy likes to do. Like, again, last time they played the Lions this season, he played quarterback who's starting games. If you have to play games with the Detroit Lions, you suck. And now he's playing a little bit more back to the fucking games again. It's the only thing he could punch down on right now. It's the one team that got, I mean, again, we say this, if Matt Nagy loses to the Lions, he should not have a job on. No way he has a job on.
He should not get on the plane coming home.
But he'll lose, and he'll get on the plane, and he'll have his word salad press conference on Monday, and nothing will happen. And he'll say it's about the whys, and we'll go look at the film and look in the mirror and use all the cliches. And all it does is make him look stupider because it's dumb. It's dumb. And that's where we're kind of sitting at with Matt. He has to know it's done. Like, I want the Chicago media needs to turn it up now. We're at this point where if the ownership group isn't going to do anything about it until the end of the season, it's time for the media to hold his feet to the fire and be aggressive and ask the tough questions. Like, why did you not have your field? Why did you not have a 2-point conversion ready after that score? You were actually thinking about, you want to go with a field goal? You're down 4 and you're going to go down 5 late in the game. Are you stupid? Are you not, like, he doesn't play 2 moves ahead, let alone 6. How do you not have your 2-point conversion team ready to go? Because there's no reason like that you would not go for 2 there to make it a 6-point game in a league that now requires 33-yard field goals that are no longer gimmies in the point after. No, he actually had to change that. Like, he actually had to answer for that. And that's not stuff that a high school football coach knows. They have their 2-point conversion team ready. They're like, hey, we need to at least make it 6, right? Maybe they missed the extra point. No, he had to think about it. And actually, it took a second for him to think about it in the press conference too. Like, let's call another timeout, and then let's get a false start after the timeout. Hey, Matt.
Well, and there's some other things too. He's 0-for coming out of the bye. He's never won a game.
0-4.
His team has never won a game coming out of the bye.
Yep. 0-4.
How many times have you seen where they call a play coming out of a timeout, commercial break, whatever it is, and then they have to call a timeout because they don't have the right personnel on the field, or the defense lined up and the defense knew what play was coming and lined up? I mean, it's over and over. You see the same things over and over again.
They look unprepared.
Exactly. It's exactly it.
100% on your coaching staff.
Undisciplined, unprepared. Yeah. Undisciplined, unprepared, whatever term you want to use. That's them. And part of the problem is all of this is not Matt Nagy's fault. There is a large portion of this that needs to fall on Ryan Pace's shoulders. But Ryan Pace is the incredible disappearing man who you get 2 press conferences from a year, one at the beginning of the season and one at the end, or one at the beginning of training camp and one at the end. And then you never hear from him again. Mm-hmm. He's hiding out there. And it sounds like there's some leaks going on where you see these guys starting to jockey for position based on some of the things you're hearing from Tony Romo yesterday. I found it fascinating when Tony Romo made the comment that that Ryan Pace was contacted about several of his defensive players for trade possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
It's criminal negligence that he did not do a single thing with the cap issues they have, with the lack of draft capital that they have. This is negligence, plain and simple. If you think this team is going to win, you're sorely mistaken. And you know what? You know the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
It's been insanity since the McCaskey.
Well, it's been insanity really since. No, even before that. I mean,
you had McCaskey.
When Muggs Hallis died, that's when the insanity really started, because he was supposed to take over the team, not Virginia.
Right.
And Muggs died before the old man died. And that, led down the path of all these other issues. This is something that's been 40 years in the making.
Yep. And it's finally led to this place where the Bears seem like they're just constantly spinning their wheels, because in a weird way, obviously Virginia has. Oh my God, Tom Brady just got picked 6th. No, down to 4. Really? Well, there goes my bet. It should be 10-7 after this, but that was a bad pass, hit him right in the chest. It was obviously a joke, hit him literally right in the chest. It was nothing wrong. Tom Brady did nothing wrong. That's 100% on
Is it a receivers?
Evans hit Evans right in the numbers, and he just popped it up, and then the safety, or it looks like the safety or the D-back Jackson came back, and on the ball it just got popped up, boop, and caught, and then returned about down to the 4. Oh well. So you've got this issue with pace. You've got a family that's, bless their heart in the sense that they're loyal. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that old lady that keeps hiring the person that does their lawn maintenance long after the lawn looks like shit.
Yes.
But they've been going to them for 20, 30 years, and it's comfortable. I don't want to lose this person. They're comfortable. I like Ryan Pace. He says nice things to me. Or if
he's a gentleman.
Right. And so you have all this stuff. And again, I appreciate that. It is nice, but not, when it comes at the product sake. The product on the field needs to take priorities. And that's one of the things that I think that Virginia McCaskey, I think that she has I don't be a dick, but I don't even know if she knows what shoes to put on in the morning at this point. It's not her. I don't think she's making powerful decisions at this point. I think that she's obviously in that age where they're like, hey, you should do this. And she's like, okay, that sounds good.
What do you think, George? Okay.
Yeah. What does she need? What does she need at this point? She's not Jerry Reinsdorf, where she's like just dying for that. Like, I gotta get, she's not like that competitive, mindset. So, that's another thing too, that we got to take into consideration is that, it could be very well people just in her little circle, in her bubble, taking full advantage of her. That is highly possible in those types of families and wealth. I'm not saying it's happening, but it would be shocking to me to know that these people are kind of just.
What is she, 96?
Treating her like who was it? Was that Britney Spears?
Yes.
She's just like the elderly Britney Spears right now. She's in conservatorship or whatever, and she doesn't really make any decisions. She goes to the games, waves her hands, drinks her hot cocoa, goes back home, has a nice night. What, the Bears play today? It's Sunday? Shit, I don't know. You don't see many interviews with her too, so I'm not sure. Is Granny spry? I don't know. So I'm gonna make a tostada with bologna, and we'll find out. But Yumper says, you have to remember, mom. And even if your kids suck, parents still try to look at the best aspects. That's very true. That's very true.
That's true. Yes. Yes.
So this week they're playing Thanksgiving. So, it's nice though. This is the one. I'm on the West Coast, so it's easier for me. At least they play before I eat, so that I don't throw up everything that I just ate. But there is the concern that it's going to make me nauseous and not want to eat. Now, I say that, but there's no thing in the world, no shitty Bears performance in the world that will keep me from eating some delicious stuffing and turkey, cranberry, mashed taters, so and rolls, lots of butter on the roll. Yep, and arugula salad. Right
with you.
Butternut squash soup, bisque. I don't like it. So it looks like we're dealing with the Bears. They got to go in. They're going up against another backup quarterback on Thanksgiving with the Lions. And it looks like it's going to be the Andy Dalton. So the Ginger Ninja, again, it's one of those games that Matt Nagy needs a win. And when Matt Nagy needs a win, somehow he pulls a rabbit out of his hat against bad teams, buys them another week, blah, 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 blah. I'm never going to root against the Bears. I'm never going to root for the Bears to lose. That's not in my vernacular. Never going to happen. So it's a win-win situation as far as the Bears are concerned. My thing is there's no development going on Sunday because Justin Fields isn't playing. So it's going to be a matter of let's watch some football. The team that we like, the jersey, the name on the front, and God, I hope. Great, Chelsea. Maybe Thanksgiving this year with Virginia is Grace. She died 30 years ago. No, Grace, the blessing. So that's pretty funny quote there, Chelsea. But I do think that this is going to be one of those. Matt Nagy, they're going to beat up on the Lions, and Matt Nagy's going, we're back. No, shut the fuck up. We're not back. No, you just
I don't think
beat
so.
Up the short kid. You beat up the short kid with the immunocompromised condition where he's got brittle bones. That's what you just did. Good job, Matt.
I don't trust them, to be honest with you. this is the one game I could see the Lions smelling blood and going out and biting ankles like they've never bit them before to get that big W on national TV to further embarrass the charter franchise of the NFL.
I mean, they try to do that pretty much every time, and it just never happens. But this time would really hurt. This would be like, you say, well, we're at rock bottom, but then there's like rock bottom, and then there's Matt Nagy bottom. Matt Nagy bottom is apparently that place in Kong versus Godzilla where everything's upside freaking down. And to Justin's point, he says it's the flipping Lions, and they could be saying it's the flipping Bears. Yeah, it's only 3 wins more. It's 2.5 wins more. They got a tie.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you got? We got a tie. Shut up. Oh,
yeah.
Although I still would like the Lions to still lose 16 games and then have that tie. I thought that'd be really funny. Still find a way to lose 16 games, but Bears might screw that one up. If the Bears don't screw it up, I don't think they have another win in them. But let's look what Vegas has. Vegas has right now the Bears line for Thursday. Bears are 3.5 point favorites on the road. So they're really 6.5 point favorites on a neutral field. So that's not, the books at least have but that's a book killer waiting to happen on Thanksgiving.
Yes,
I might take the Lions money line a little bit on that. What's the money line for Lions? Hold on, let me just check that one. We're looking at a
220
plus 155.
Okay,
that's not really worth it. I wouldn't take that because it's a plus 3.5. I'm taking the Bears on that one. I'm taking in fact, I'm going to throw that down. Well, actually,
I just generally never bet. I never bet the Bears. Too much emotion invested with the Bears to bet on them.
I just feel like that's going to only get more. I think it's going to go beyond 3.5. I bet you that thing closes at 4.5 as we get closer to the game. I think that as bad as the Bears are, people are going to come to their senses that the Lions are really that bad. Like this might be worse than their 0-16 team. This team is that bad. And it's the Lions. So.
It's the Bears.
The Bears too. God dang it.
Yeah.
But there's always the Lions to make us feel better about ourselves. We could always take solace in that. So
did the Bears lose to the Lions last year?
If nature is healing.
Yeah.
No, didn't they beat the Lions both times last year? I thought they
recently I thought the Bears lost a game to the Lions. Within the last 2 years, definitely.
2 years ago, maybe they did. They might have. But I don't think 2020, I don't think they lost. Let's see. Years, schedule, 2020. Nice typing, Fiddler. They beat the Lions twice last year.
So it's got to be 19.
Let's see. Oh, that's this year. Sorry. Hold on. Beat them. No, they lost last year, 34-30. Yeah, that was the game that's right. Yeah. Let's look at the box score on that. The defense gave up 34 points to the backup quarterback. Was it Stafford last year? Oh, it was the first game under Darrell Bevel, the interim coach.
Yes.
And yeah, Stafford lit him up for 402 passing yards.
Yep. It's not beyond the realm of possibility.
That was the rock bottom. We thought there's no way that Matt Nagy has a job on Monday. That turned out to be he had a job this whole year.
I felt that he shouldn't have a job after the Cleveland game. I felt he shouldn't have a job after yesterday. There's the San Francisco game. It just it's the same thing over and over and over again. It's always undisciplined. It's stupid play calling. You always get at least the one dumb timeout.
Oh yeah, and then the either too many men in the field or delay of game out of the timeout.
Yes. Yep.
One of my favorite patented Matt Nagy moves.
Yes.
Yeah, the Bears defense needs to. I mean, again, I'm going to say this, and I maybe I'm alone in this, or I'm not at least in a majority here, but I think that Sean Desai's done a really good job as a defensive coordinator, as a first-year defensive coordinator, considering everything that's been thrown in his way and the difficulties with the injury bugs. I mean, again, he hasn't had Hicks, but what 3 games? Eddie Jackson, Khalil Mack. I mean, Trevathan. I mean, the biggest thing you look at is Roquan.
Are you fucking shitting me?
You got that, and you've got Matt. You've got not Khalil Mack, but you've got Roquan Smith playing at a high level, and you've got Robert Quinn 10 sacks in 10 games. He's got 10 sacks in 10 games. Quinn's finally figuring it out.
Fuck yourself. Nobody gives a shit. Holy fuck.
My bobblehead only sends you inappropriate emails.
Tufsky shitsky.
And if you can't see my bobblehead, it's literally
Yes.
John Gruden with the
And
Corona.
mine is a Lewis Black bobblehead that plays 5 lines, and each one is a profanity.
Mine sends inappropriate, misogynistic, and homophobic emails to owners.
Yes.
All right. No, who's suing the league, by the way? That'll be a whole interesting little
Oh,
thing.
by the way, I thought I read someplace where the NFL might be in big trouble for not honoring the subpoena of letters, not turning over requested documents.
Gotta be transparent.
Yes, you do.
So, Bears, we're gonna put a pin in this because you know what?
Yeah.
I'm done talking about Matt Nagy
Yes.
and his visor and his giant laminated playbook that allegedly is like a lot larger, but it's never grown beyond 1 page. And
Well,
how about
remember, you had to break the quarterback into that playbook. It wasn't nobody could pick it up on one read.
how about the anecdote too that Matt Nagy's headphones went out and they had to call a timeout on that? Why are you calling a timeout if your headphones don't work? If you're not calling plays, there, duder.
Well, and I
Maybe-
would like to see him show. I would like to see him show that kind of emotion about the team that
Okay.
he showed about the headphones.
Oh, because he lost his power.
Yes.
He lost his power, and so that's why he was mad. That's
Mhm.
so. And we've got a Tampa Bay touchdown already, rushing touchdown by Ronald Jones Jr. So I'll take those points. Thank you. And I took the over 29, so it is at 27. So I need 5 minutes and 6 seconds for them to score at least what 2 more points. It was. Oh wait,
Yeah,
no,
if you get a field goal,
26.
you're good.
26 and a half. Hold on. I think it was 26 and a half. Hold on. I might be making a mistake. Please tell me I'm a stupid wrong person.
You're a stupid wrong person.
Why am that? That is always the truth.
Are
Bucks
you
minus
fucking
11.
shitting me?
Bucks minus 6.5. Over 26. That's 27, right? That extra point.
What's the score?
I think it looks like I think it's 17-10, right?
Yeah, that'd be 27.
And that I got it plus. I got plus 100 on that one for the over. So all right, bet number 1. That means I get to bet in the second half. All right. I bet first half. If I lose those bets, then I call it a night. But I'm not calling it a night. All right. So speaking of legendary goats, like I am at betting, the Hall of Fame voting has opened up, and
The ballot has been published.
Coming at you straight from the dog.
right. Speaking of goats, that was a duck, but or a lamb or sheep, whatever it is. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Hall of Fame voting, and today the ballots came out. The options that we have for not we, but the voters have, and the options that they have, and so it came out today. And I mean, there's the usual suspects are on the list. I hope I'm looking. Yes, okay. This is Ryan Thibodeau's. All right, so I'm looking at the list. It's the 2022 Baseball Hall of Fame ballot. I'll
Yes.
just go ahead and read this off real quick, and then we'll gauge your opinion, and we'll jump into this alphabetically, not in any order of importance. Bobby Abreu, Barry Bonds, Mark Burley, Roger Clemens, Carl Crawford, Prince Fielder, Todd Hilton, Ryan Howard, Tim Hudson, Torrey Hunter, Andrew Jones, Jeff,
Andrew, yes.
Tim Lincecum, Justin Morneau, Joey Nathan, David Ortiz, Jonathan Choke, Bryce Harper out, Papelbon, Jake Peavy, Andy Pettit, AJ Przinsky got his ass beat by Michael Barrett, Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, Scott Rowland, Jimmy Rollins band, Kurt Schilling, Gary Sheffield and Clark, Sammy Sosa, and the lighter Sammy Sosa, Mark Teixeira, Omar Vizquel, and Billy Wagner. These are our options here with the 22 Hall of Fame. There are obviously some major names on there that might not find their way into the Hall of Fame for other reasons, and they're not getting the votes. And some of these names, we'll look at these, the final year candidates on that ballot: Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Kurt
Sammy
Schilling,
Sosa
and Sammy
Kurt
Sosa.
Schilling.
Yeah.
Yes.
So those 4, this is it. And so I know Cub fans like to bitch and moan about the Cubs not welcoming back Sammy Sosa, but what does it say that Sammy Sosa is about to be off the ballot and not make the Hall of Fame either? Look, Bonds, Clemens, Schilling, Sosa, all career numbers, Hall of Fame worthy. With that said, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are Bonds and Clemens absolutely should be in. They should have been in a long time ago. Sosa, I say no. And the reason I say no is because Whereas Bonds and Clemens were Hall of Famers before they got involved with steroids. And we could pretty much pin when they got involved. Sosa was not. Sosa was a good player. He was not a Hall of Famer.
After his first career game, he was on pace for the most home runs in history. He hit 2 home runs in his career debut. What are you talking about? No, I'm kidding. I remember watching that game. Opening day, what was it, 91?
No, he played in 90. That's
what was it? I thought his first game ever, or was that just opening day that he hit the
that was opening day.
I thought that was his first start ever. Okay.
That was opening day in Baltimore for the White Sox.
Okay. Yeah. Oh man. Yumper said I was an altar boy before I murdered people. It's true. It's true.
Well, and I want to talk about something.
Then he murdered altar boys, which is weird.
Yes. And I want to talk about something Yumper raises because I think it's a great point. He says, all I know is if Ortiz gets in, it's complete bullshit. And I totally agree with you, but not for the reasons why you think. My whole issue with this ballot, and I will tell you who I voted for in a second. My whole issue with this ballot is the same sports writers who are these sanctimonious assholes trying to protect the integrity of the game are the same assholes who voted for Barry Bonds to win 7 MVP awards, who voted for Roger Clemens to win, I believe it's 6 Cy Young awards, however many it is. They are the ones who created this mess. They are. They absolutely are the ones who created this mess because they went and voted for him for all those awards, and now they turn their sanctimonious selves and say, "Oh my God, we can't let this guy in because he did steroids." Well, guess what? Anyone and their mother knew that. You guys didn't want to cover it.
You sat in the locker room with Mark McGuire when he had big old bottles of Andros sitting in his locker. And you're like,
absolutely. Absolutely. You know, who was the reporter who went up to Sammy Sosa and asked him to go take a steroid test with him and got shouted out of the locker room?
Was that Sully? No,
it wasn't. Oh, Sully ain't got.
No, was that what's his name? It wasn't the douchebag.
Was it Kylie?
Okay, it wasn't the douchebag. Not Mariotti.
No, it wasn't Mariotti. Mariott's a typewriter tough guy. You know,
except when he's beating up women, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. No, you know who it was? Was it? Oh shit! The one guy on MLB Network. Tom.
Oh, Tom. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Tom.
don't have no idea.
Yeah.
Tom Skilling? That guy is.
No, it wasn't Tom Skilling.
He was like 30% chance of me kicking your ass.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Yes. But you know, the sports writers are the ones who created this mess because they didn't care about the steroids and everything else when Sammy was hitting 73 home runs and they were voting Tom Verducci. Thank you. Yes, that's who I'm talking about. Was it Verducci who did that?
Rick Riley?
No, Rick Riley. It was Rick Riley who did it.
When Rick Riley was really in his element too, man. That was when Rick Riley was really rocking at the back page of Sports Illustrated. Dude was doing it.
Yeah.
He was good. He just got he turned into a little bit of again, some of those guys, they become the personality that they write like, and then they start turning into kind of douche. Right. But that man, Riley was one of my favorite parts of Sports Illustrated for a long time.
And
yeah,
Verducci,
I remember.
Yeah. And Verducci made such a pretentious video last year on MLB Network about voting for the Hall of Fame. And I'm sorry, voters for the Hall of Fame. I agree with you. It is an honor to do this, but don't be a sanctimonious asshole about it. You're voting on someone making it into a museum. And also, if you voted for these guys to win multiple MVP awards, win Cy Young awards, and then I can't vote for this guy. Why'd you vote for him for all those awards? See, here's the hypocrisy of it. If you vote Ortiz in, you open yourself up to questions. Why are you voting him in? Because we know he was named in the report, the Mitchell report. He was one of the names in the Mitchell report. So why are you voting him in, but yet you're not voting Bonds and Clemens in, who you had no problem voting all these awards for back in the day? So it's absolute hypocrisy by the media about this. And I'll tell them that to their face. It's absolute hypocrisy. All these guys, we got to protect the integrity of the game. Give me a fucking break. You're not doing it. You're just too chicken shit to put them in because you know why? You're going to be exposed for the fact that you didn't do your job and report on this back in the day. because you wanted to save baseball just like everyone else. And the fact that Bud Selig is in the Hall of Fame when he was the one who was the leader of baseball in this era invalidates any argument you have about these guys not getting in. Any argument, period.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is the difficult part again, is where you know, is it about the product on the field? Is it about the off the field stuff? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, again, the Houston Astros have done, I think, far worse to the game.
Oh, I totally agree.
Pete Rose,
the fact that they got nothing.
And you got
Pete Rose. Tim Anderson got a larger suspension this year than the Astros did for what they did in 2017 is appalling.
Yep. And the worst part too is that you've got a league that, you know, Pete Rose, look, Pete Rose gambled on baseball.
Yes.
Okay. That's probably a no. But we have zero proof that he ever gambled against himself. He bet on himself, which is, guess what? In the boxing world, it's called normal. Those guys bet on themselves all the time. So yes, betting on baseball, it's probably off-putting. If he bet against himself, obviously there's some problems there. You never do that. But if he didn't bet against himself and he bet on himself every time, I actually don't see why that should be a lifetime ban in the first place. Because now look at all these leagues. I mean, I can't trust the NFL at this point anyway because of the contracts that they have in place with Caesars betting apps.
That's all sports anymore.
Right. I can't. What are we even worried about at this point? Instead, we let the game get decided what's best for the books instead of a coach. Like, I'm sorry, the credibility of the league on all the leagues that are dealing with betting apps now at this point. If you're dealing with betting and then you're still saying, Pete Rose he bet on himself, we should never be allowed to be in the hot. No, that's dumb. It just doesn't make any sense.
You know who else should be banned? To be honest with you, there's a player who should be banned based on betting on his team.
If Ty Cobb's in the Hall of Fame, anybody should be in the Hall of Fame. He's the single worst human being, other than that guy that led Germany for a bit. I think in American history, he's one of the worst. He's a horrible man. We don't even know half the stuff that Ty Cobb did in the private. One of the biggest racists in baseball history. A guy that tried to intentionally harm people, and they lauded it. And that guy can go in the Hall of Fame, but Pete Rose, who threw down a couple bucks on his own team to win, no way.
Well, there's
a shot in his ass, which doesn't hit a curveball, by the way.
Right.
No way. People, we're going to go ahead and steal the World Series using, highly technical cheating and sign stealing techniques and video, which is really ruining the outcome of the game. They'll slap in the wrist. Slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
So, it's uneven.
I'll give you this. There's a player I know for a fact should be banned based on those rules. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He won't be in the Hall of Fame. He did not have a Hall of Fame caliber career.
Josh Johnson? Oh, wait, no, never mind. He's just a piece of shit.
No.
He should just be thrown into a blender with a gremlin.
No. But there was a player I heard go on the radio and make a bet with the sportscaster about the outcome of a game. I bet we win. Based on that, he should be banned for life. And it was Mark Grace who did it with Mike North on the score during the first or second year of the Crosstown Classic. He went on and they made a bet, and it was in the off season. The loser would host the winner at their house and pay for, a Bears watch party or some crap like that. But that's betting on baseball, isn't it? By that definition, should be gone.
What about that one time?
What about the mayors betting against each other?
Oh, yeah. What about that time that Jose Abreu said, I bet you're wrong? Get that son of a bitch! He said, I bet you're wrong. Betting. Lifetime ban. No, all his stuff. It was Mark Grace drunk anyway. Hopefully he was making that bet from a phone in a cab. But hey, Sean Jankowski, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Sean. Welcome to everybody, by the way.
But you look at this.
We love your contributions.
And you and I have talked about this before. I don't buy into the bullshit of I'm not voting for him this year because he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'll vote for him next year, though. It's like, are his numbers going to somehow is he going to go hit a couple more times between now and then? His numbers are the same. If he's a Hall of Famer now, he's a Hall of Famer next year. This first ballot Hall of Famer fucking superiority bullshit is it's so old. It's so tired. Are you a Hall of Famer now? Get these dudes off the list. If they're a Hall of Famer, vote for them and get them off the list. We got other names. Clear the list. Like,
there's a couple other things I want to talk about with that.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. Either you are or you aren't. There isn't a different tier because, quite frankly, if you don't put guys like Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, guys like that as 100% unanimous, what in the world are you thinking? I mean, Mariano Rivera, great relief pitcher, no question, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, no question. But you're telling me he's the first unanimous guy over Aaron, over Mays, over Ted Williams, over DiMaggio? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm not even talking about not only their on-field contributions, but Cal Ripken helped save baseball just as much as Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire did after the strike.
Absolutely.
He should be in unanimous for that, as well as the streak and all the other stuff.
Because there's always one asshole. There's always one just slapdick in the media that wants the attention, and then people dance around, and then down the line they drop out and they're like, "Oh yeah, it was me. I just didn't think." Shut up. You're an asshole, is what you are.
Well, actually. And the funniest thing, I don't know if you saw this last year, or this was in 2020, the Jeter year.
Mm-hmm.
White Sox Dave did a video spoof.
I thought he did the fake ballot too. Didn't he do a fake ballot?
He did the fake ballot. And people went after him for not voting for Jeter. And his response was very simple. You people understand that I don't have a vote, and this is a joke, right? People took it like he was the one. The New York Yankee fans went after him. Barstool, you need to fire this guy because he's stupid. He's too stupid to vote for Derek Jeter. He doesn't know a damn thing about baseball. And Dave Portnoy's like, are these people really this dumb?
When Dave Portnoy questions your intelligence, we're like on the third layer of hell. We're like 3 or 4 layers deep into this onion at that point, because I mean that's kind of like a sloth calling you fast. It's okay. Well, boy, Portnoy thinks I'm dumb. Oh God. So and Mailman Jack is with us. Speaking of not dumb and delicious calves.
That's right.
So welcome, Mailman Jack. Yeah, if you're listening to those of you that are listening to us on the podcast, join the chat on the live show sometimes. We have some fun in here. I do want to know who the Chalsa is. The Chalsa, I don't know. Right now there's 3 in the room right now. I see Yumper, Jack, and Sean. So that means that it looks like we lost Justin. I think we lost the Chalsa. Who is the Chalsa? I don't know who the Chalsa is, but I love your style. Unless that's just like a Yumper's burner and he's just going back and forth. But
I wouldn't put it past Yumper.
So here we go. We got the ballot. I don't know if you have your ballot out in front of you.
Yes, I have it right here.
Let's go ahead. Let's just do it. We're gonna go down the list, and we're gonna call each name.
Yep.
You're gonna give me a yay or a nay.
Yep.
Okay? This is the Aloha Pete and the K-Fids Baseball Hall of Fame induction voting. So this is who we're taking in this year. So we're gonna go, and so we'll see who the unanimous. I don't know. Sorry. Unanimous is. So let's start with option number 1, Bobby Abreu.
No.
I agree. That's a no.
Yes.
Okay. Next, Barry Bonds.
As big of a dick as he is, I still have to say yes.
Agreed. Mark Burley.
This is a guy I think will get in on like the 8th or 9th ballot. I think what he's going to be is he's one of those accumulator guys who's going to get more votes every year as you get further away from his career, and they're going to look and say, "Oh wow, all those years of 200 innings pitched, all the the 4 Gold Gloves, the guy who joins rare company in throwing a no-hitter and a perfect game." There's only like 8 or 9 pitchers who have ever done it, and all of them except him are in the Hall of Fame.
True.
And that company includes guys like Sandy Koufax, Randy Johnson, Jim Bunning, I think, was another one who did it. So he's in pretty. I
am afraid that he threw a no-hitter thing is going to start losing some luster, considering the amount of no hitters that the game sees now at this point. In 10 years, five years from now, we're like, oh, anyway, he threw a no hitter. Oh, like
And a perfect game. Yeah.
Everybody does. But the perfect game is the more important, I think, entry into that. Absolutely. But no hitters now at this point. It's like, it's called, everybody's doing it now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, dabbing a couple years ago. Everyone's doing it except the cool people are not doing it. What? Yeah, I'm a no with Mark Burley. I might be in that group that softens up over the years when people make good arguments for it. And that's what his team's there for. His team, his PR team, or whatever you want to call it, that's their job, is to market him to the voters over time. And if the argument continues and the argument grows and there are good arguments, I'm not closed-minded to it. I would obviously have changed my position. But right now, I don't believe him to be one. I think that there's a couple other players on this list that are closer that I'm still not going to vote for. Mm-hmm. But right now, Burley, I'd say a negatory. So is he a negatory for you now? But maybe down the line, or is he a yes now?
To me, he would be a yes now. But I honestly, realistically think if he has a chance, it's not for another 6 or 7 years. I think he's going to slowly gather votes, each sort of like what happened with Burt Blyleven. And
you would vote for him. Now,
I would. Yes.
This was your ballot. That X would be crayon. I would use crayon for sure.
And let me say one more thing. All these writers about they need to expand it so you can vote for more than 10 guys. I have never ever come across a Hall of Fame ballot the years I've been doing this where I voted for 10 guys.
No, but if there are, I'd vote for 12 if there's 12 on there.
Oh, I absolutely agree. But they're saying, I need more than 10. It's like, no, you don't. Because I've never seen a ballot where you had 12 Hall of Famers on there or 10 Hall of Famers on there.
But when you have Barry Bonds, Curt Schilling, Sammy Sosa, Roger Clemens all sitting there and stuck there, that's 4 right there. We're technically, and then you can get into whatever. But before we continue, I'd just like to show off. Now we're going to the Good Day Strawberry Soju. So we're
living La Vida Loca.
Yeah. We're living a little. We're going in honor of the Bears quarterback. Oh my God, what is that? A touchdown? Nope, he's down at the 1. That was incredible. Who was that? Goodwin? That is a long catch, and he was down at the 1. That could be a touch. Oh, there's a flag, though. Up, holding. Never mind.
Oh, and to Mailman Jack's point, is Joe Madden the most successful manager that had teams pitched no-hitters against them? Joe Madden had 2 perfect games pitched against him when he was in Tampa. He had the Burley perfect game, and then the next year he had the Dallas Braden perfect game thrown against him.
Yeah.
So there's a because was Madden the manager when Cole Hamels hit the Cubs?
No. I think that was Ricky Renteria.
Was it? Okay.
I smell garlic.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Nice.
Okay, so next one on the list, Roger Clemens.
I will use the same argument I used for Barry Bonds. He may be a dick, but he deserves to be in.
I also agree with you. He should be in. Mm-hmm. I think he's a piece of shit. I think he's a horrible human being. I think he's a liar. I think he's a scumbag. I think that he has done nothing but prove that he's a piece of shit liar. But again, my argument is always, if Ty Cobb's in the Hall of Fame, assholes, pieces of shits, liars, scumbags, apparently they're fair game. So Roger Clemens is one. He's a guy that literally would lie about picking up a baseball bat, shard it out, throwing it at a player and saying, I thought it was a baseball. Bullshit, dude. Bullshit. You didn't know that a baseball that's not smooth and that has grooves and laces is the same thing as a 12-inch horizontal 2 and 5/8 in diameter wooden object? Like, no, he's a liar. And he always has been a liar. His wife's a liar. They're all scumbags. He's the kind of guy that actually threw at his own kid at the Texas A&M or the University of Texas, alumni game. He actually did throw at his own kid, by the way. That's a true story. That wasn't from Major League. That happened after Major League, but Clemens actually did it. But still, being a piece of shit, being an asshole doesn't mean you weren't a great baseball player. Roger Clemens, long before the steroid stuff and long before HGH and all that stuff, Roger Clemens was a freaking beast from the start.
Yes.
Big corn-fed Texas mule who was good at every level at the University of Texas, in the pros with the Red Sox, all the way on his entire career. So he's got to be in. I don't like him. and I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire, but he's still got to be a Hall of Famer.
Yep, I agree.
Next up, Carl Crawford.
Nope.
That's a pretty
Prince
easy
Fielder. Nope.
Nope. But I would love to have him hang out at a picnic. I've heard he's like a really cool guy. But next up, this one is a touchy one too, because it really is a really interesting.
I know the argument. I'm going to say one thing about that argument. Todd Helton. I say yes. And you know what? You can't use Coors Field as an argument. You know why? Because there's a major league team in Denver. MLB put a major league team in Denver. Guess what? If you're going to use Coors Field as an argument and all of that, then move the team out of there. If that's such a hindrance, move it out of there.
It's not his fault.
Agreed.
That he played there.
But this is the sanctimonious writer bullshit again.
Yep. And this is a guy that hit 316 for his career. This is a guy that had a 414 on base percentage in his career. That is exceptional. Okay. You tell me how many 300 plus hitters in Major League Baseball exist per season, let alone a career. He had seasons where he hit 358, 372. You don't hit 372 only raking at home. And his defensive numbers weren't awesome. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's the biggest drawback, I would say. He had a negative 97.7 defensive rating, but he had a career 54.9 WAR. I mean, God. So he's got to be. He's an on, and the argument for me, the Coors Field argument for me, doesn't hold water.
Right.
Simply because it's not his fault. That's the team that signed him, and you don't just leave a destination and be a disloyal guy. He did the rare thing. He played for the same team his entire career.
Yep. Don't
fault the guy for that either. Sorry. But I'm sure the sports writers will minimize what he's got there. So you were a yes with Helton too. So yes. Helton's a yes for us. Ryan Howard.
Nope.
That is Chasen Shreve's first career strikeout, by the way, was
it?
Ryan Howard.
Mean, Ryan Howard had some impressive years, but I don't think the body of work is long enough for it.
Uh-huh. Does that count as a turnover? He's fumbled I'll take it. Yeah, some points for my defense. I don't go with it, Ryan Howard, but that was Chasen Shreve's first career strikeout. So
nice.
I always have a special place in my heart. Right before I went to go see Soundgarden and Nine Inch Nails together at the what is it called? Not playing in Hollywood in Vegas. Not the restaurant, but the hotel. They have a really nice concert venue. All right, next up, Tim Hudley Hudson. Former Oakland A and Atlanta Brave, right?
Yes, one of the Moneyball pitchers that conveniently gets forgotten about with that Moneyball team.
Mm-hmm. I'd say no either.
I say no.
Tor Hunter.
No.
Nope. This one is weird to me. Maybe I'm going crazy. I just always felt like Andrew Jones was defensive, like a defensive stud. It never really, maybe I'm an idiot because he hit 254. He did hit 434, but he's a 254 career hitter. Yeah. He's got a 330 on base percentage over his career. His OPS plus over his career is 111. That's an average hitter. And so he's a great defensive player, though. My God, how many Gold Gloves? But he had those couple good seasons. He had that really, really, really good season.
He started out incredibly well.
He won Jacks in 2005. He really did have a stretch, but in the crackdown something happened after 2007. He went from 31, 26, 36, 34, 35, 36, 29, 51, 41, 26, and then 3, 17, 19, 13, 14. Like it plateaued pretty bad. But that 51 home run season is fantastic. But I think it's a no. I think it's a no.
He's close, but he's a no to me.
And again, he's one of those like a Burley where you can make some more arguments over the next couple of years. You have time. And next one, Jeff Kent.
This is a tough one too. There's a lot of validity about his second base numbers being some of the best. The guy was a jerk, which I'm sure hurts him with the sports writers because let's face it, the sports writers also hold grudges against people who did not kiss their ass during the season. So I think it's really close, but I'm a no.
Okay. I'm a yes for Jeff Kent. I think he's the best.
Okay.
I think he is the best National League second baseman of his generation, of his time period. For me, I look at Jeff Kent's numbers. There wasn't anybody in the National League that was better. And when I look at Hall of Fame ballots and I look at who we vote for the Hall of Fame, right? I think of the best of their time period. Because we're not going to ignore a time period just because they didn't, each time period has its whatever, its characteristics. The 80s, greenies, everyone was fast, looks like crackheads. They're really, stole a lot of bases, blah, blah, blah. A lot of contact. Where, not a great deal of power until the later portions of the 80s when you get the steroid, Mark McGwire rolling in. Jeff Kent was a power hitting second baseman in an era where second baseman might hit 4 home runs. They were Ray Sanchez. That's who the second baseman of that time period was. He was a giant among men when it came to statistical offensive production compared to the other second baseman. Roberto Alomar, I believe, would be the only one that you really can put two stats together and say, this guy has comparable stats. And I mean, it's pretty good company. So I think Jeff Kent is the best second baseman of his time period in the National League. He is a guy like Ryan Sandberg that because he plays second base, we look at all these different things. But just like a catcher, second baseman of that time period had different expectations as a player. And offense was not their thing. It was speed, contact, get on base. Jeff Kent was a power guy. Ryan Sandberg was a power guy in a sense. So those two guys, they transcended the position at the time.
See, that's my problem. One of my issues with WAR, what you just said. If you're looking at Ray Ordonez's WAR versus Jeff Kent or Tommy Herr's WAR against Jeff Kent, it's night and day. But you have to understand the era the guys played in and how lineups were constructed during that era. WAR does not take that into account. Comparing Mike Trout's WAR versus, Babe Ruth's WAR, just as an example, it's an unfair comparison because Babe Ruth played in a league where there were fewer teams, the talent was higher, it was harder to hit home runs. So WAR does not give you a true, in my opinion, and I know I'm going to have people yelling at me about this, WAR doesn't give you a true analysis of a comparison of one generation's players versus another. WAR's better for a comparison of players within that same generation. If you want to compare the WAR of Ozzie Smith and Robin Yount as shortstops, the same generation, absolutely works. But Ozzie Smith and pick a short Carlos Correa, it doesn't work. It's different, yeah,
different. And Yumper, you say that Kent is the Piazza of second baseman. Mike Piazza actually, it's a myth that he's a bad defensive catcher. He actually, some of his numbers are actually incredibly fantastic, especially when you take into consideration the numbers of the guys that he was actually receiving as well. Put him at a disadvantage, but his numbers actually, defensive metric wise, play out as a pretty average or even above average defensive catcher in Major League Baseball. It's just at the time period, the narrative was he's a big galoot that can't catch, but he can really hit, and he got a favor because he was Tommy Lasorda's nephew or godson or whatever. It actually is it's one of those it's like almost like an urban legend that he's bad. He actually grades out pretty at least an average defensive catcher, which put together with his offensive numbers. And Kent was the same thing. I mean, Kent actually was defensively not that bad. Steve Sachs was a dog shit second baseman. Chuck Knobloch was a dog shit second baseman. Jeff Kent, he was fine. He was
serviceable.
He was going to win a Gold Glove probably very often, but that's the thing. Beautiful. But Sandberg went like he went like 2 seasons, a season and a half without making an error. That's incredible.
Ozzie Guillen went an entire season without making an error and did not win a Gold Glove.
That's just insane.
Tony Fernandez won the Gold Glove that year because it's Tony Fernandez. It's like Ozzie had more chances with 0 errors, and you gave the Gold Glove to Tony Fernandez. So since that happened, it's like, the Gold Glove just. And then the whole Carlos Correa, Derek Jeter thing that exploded this week too also feeds into that.
Yep. Oh, and also, by the way, just as a heads up, I just took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -3.5 second half over 26 again. I'm a glutton for this 26 number apparently.
And I have the Bulls game on in the background, and the Bulls are currently being manhandled. It's the Indiana Pacers 89, the Bulls 61.
Oh no.
Yes.
That's not. Oh, here comes that slide. Are they going to show that slide by Tom Brady again on the replay? Here it comes. Boom, he kicks right at his ankle. Like, I don't know why that's not a bigger deal. They should suspend Tom Brady for 2 weeks for that. Just kidding. But they should make him open mouth kiss the guy and say, I'm sorry. So next up on this list, Tim Lincecum, the guy that you learned how to pitch and finish and follow through because his dad would put $1 bill on the dirt.
That's right.
Grab the $1 bill. Grab that finish, which is pretty incredible. That's also a bribe, so he should be also banned from the Hall of Fame. That's why he's that's why he's in italics. No, just kidding. First year candidate, Tim Lincecum.
Yes.
So, is he a yes or no?
Too short of a career, so no.
Agreed. Too short of a career.
I mean,
so good when he was good.
Really good when he was on, but too short.
Yeah, too short. Pitchers, you got to extend a little bit. You can't just be really good for like 2 years. Hitters, you can have like a 3 or 4 year boom, 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 and be good. All right. Joey Nathan. No, excuse me. Justin Morneau.
No. Again, I think Morneau could have been on the path, but once he started having the concussions, that really sidetracked him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hold on, I gotta. Sorry. Anyway, I just Morneau is one of those things. Again, just not enough. Not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's a no for me.
He was on the path. He was absolutely on the path, but then he started having the concussion issues, and that derailed him.
Did Joe Nathan?
No.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence with a guy that has 377 career saves, 3.36 ERA. He had a really good run from 2002 all the way through roughly about 2009. That's about a 7-8 year stretch. And he had one bad year, and then he again had a lights out year in 12 and 13. So all but in a 10-year stretch, he was all but lights out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-time All-Star, Cy Young runner-up, or Cy Young 4th place in 2004, Cy Young 5th place in 2006, MVP 12th in voting. He's a guy that I think I'm going to say no now, but I think closers get a bad rap with the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He's someone I'm going to continue to listen to arguments in his favor. I mean, even his last year, his 2013 in Texas, he had a 1.39 ERA. I mean, a 2.87 career ERA as a reliever. A reliever is such a different beast. You have one bad day and you're spending like 6 weeks trying to catch that ERA, that number. So I'm kind of on the fence with him. So I would say especially his time in Minnesota, he was incredible. A 2.16 ERA, 24 and 13 record, but obviously that doesn't count, but 260 saves, 561 strikeouts. He averaged, he had 463 innings and had 560 strikeouts. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
In his whole career,
he's someone I could see accumulating.
Yeah, he could be someone that grows in interest or whatever. And he was with the Cubs for a second in 2016, and then he was traded to the Giants, I think. But he only had 3 appearances with the Cubs. He only threw 2 innings, I think. Which goes to show where he was at. He actually was, but he got outs. But yeah, he'd be a temporary no that we could maybe think about. All right, this one's interesting. Yumper has some thoughts. So David Ortiz, the Big Papi, the guy that got shot by a cartel guy because he was banging his girlfriend or whatever. Green Bay Packer fan who problems if that's his favorite team, but whatever. I guess he lived in.
All right, David Ortiz is, to be honest with you, David Ortiz is the Hall of Fame's worst nightmare for this year only. There is no doubt he will get in. I do not think he gets in this year, just because if Ortiz gets in, all those hypocrite writers are going to have to answer questions. Why did you put Ortiz in, who was named in the Mitchell report, when you didn't put Bonds and Clemens in? This is the absolute worst case scenario. And there's another name in here later who I don't think will ever get in. I think you could argue we should, but it's the same question. if you're going to hold Bonds and Clemens to this, and Sosa to this steroid standard, you need to hold Ortiz to the steroid standard too. Because if you don't, your hypocrisy will shine through and everyone will come after you for it.
Mhm.
And remember, I'm talking about the sports writers, not the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing too, and I see a couple comments in the thing. I see a little Jeff Kent. I knew I'd probably get crucified for that one. I don't know. Okay, he was a dick too. He was an asshole. But the Piazza stuff too jumps in with Piazza. Piazza had a 1.5 defensive WAR. But I mean, let's look at some of the names that we think are really good defensive catchers. Look at some of the defensive WARs of, say, where am I looking right here? Come on, dude. Pop up. Oh, God dang it. This site. It's not on there now. Son of a biscuit. Looking for some defensive WARs of some comps, but oh well. There are, for a guy that was considered a bad defensive catcher, a plus WAR at all is a victory for him. But his caught stealing, his ratio of caught stealing, that's actually skewed. I read a whole thing on like why Mike Piazza, his defense is the most underrated, perhaps, of any Hall of Fame catcher ever, because he was a meatball, strong Italian. He got a favor done from his, from La Russa, or not La Russa,
Lasorda.
And one of the Italian, they spoke with their hands, and they all, the slim fast guy, who, by the way, rest in peace, Tommy Lasorda, one of my favorite dudes ever, one of the nicest guys ever, if you ever got to meet him at all. Fantastic. Well, yeah, Pudge had a 29.6 WAR. He might be the best defensive catcher in history. He's one of the best. Pudge is like a freak. Pudge Rodriguez might be my favorite catcher besides Benito Santiago ever. So, yes, he's got a huge defensive WAR. That's what he should be. But to say that someone is bad defensively and still has a plus WAR, defensive WARs, means it's not bad. They're just not great. But Pudge didn't hit like Mike Piazza. So,
Pudge did 1 year. He hit like Mike Piazza.
He did for a sec. And we don't ever talk much about what Pudge used to recover. But hey, so next up, what's the next one on the list? We got I just showed you now. We're in the end game now, Peter, Tony. We're still in the Good Day Strawberry, but there are some White Claws in here too, just in case. Jonathan, I choked. I want Jonathan Papelbon in the Hall of Fame just for when he choked out Bryce Harper. Because that was the day that Bryce Harper literally said, "What? Let's go. You want to do something?" And then someone said, "Yeah, fuck you. I'm going to do it." And he grabbed him by his neck and threw him against the wall. One of my favorite things. Bryce Harper had no idea what hit him. He's like, "Well, whoa." Usually he's the guy that he's like what's his name that played for the Dodgers? Likes to start fights and then hide behind everybody. Like Javi Baez too. Likes to start fights and then hide behind other people. And so he yells and cha 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 cha. What's that?
Oh my God! I was looking at a tweet.
The police
and
game?
I'm gonna see if I can actually get this on the microphone. This is at the Bulls game tonight.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So I'm gonna see if I can get this.
Breaking news. Fire Nagy!
They are chanting at the Bulls game, "Fire Nagy."
Todd Hundley was traded to the LA Dodgers along with Chad Hermanson, a friend of mine, for Eric Karros and was it Mark DeRosa? No, who was it? Who was else?
It wasn't DeRosa.
Who else was in the trade? It was Eric Karros and dang it.
DeRosa was it Hollingsworth?
No, God dang it. Eric Karros, Cubs.
No, DeRosa was a free agent signing.
It was Chad, who I'm friends with. Chad. I've known Chad since I was a kid, actually. Here in Vegas. His son played for me, ironically enough, at my previous program. He was traded for Mark Grudzielanek. It was Hermanson and Hundley. Yeah, Chad. Okay. It was Chad and Hundley for Mark Grudzielanek and Eric Karros, of course, in that infamous 2003 run by the Cubs. And Eric Karros actually had a Super 8 video camera and videotaped the whole experience. And there was a whole documentary that came out with all the footage that he took. Like, I don't know if it was a year or two later. I know we blew up the baseball the next year. I remember blowing up going to the big old party here at a place called Mugshots and hanging out with stand-up comic from Chicago. You guys might recognize him. Actually, he's the guy that used to do those dollar double stack commercials with Sammy Sosa.
Oh
You found
God.
the coins in your couch. Go buy a dollar double stack. It was like obviously had his name's John Campanera, and
Yeah.
he's the best Harry Carey impersonation I've ever heard, ever. And he was there. It was a really cool experience. And I might have smoked weed in the parking lot with him. I will not confirm nor deny. This was before I was a teacher, but the funny guy. But anyway, we watched the ball get blown up the year after. But yeah, Grzelcyk, Karros. So that's a little bit of a weird. Anyway, so I don't know how did we get there from Jonathan Papelbon? Jesus Christ. I just think I was just talking about how I love to see Bryce Harper choked out by somebody. He step to me, bro. Okay, fine. I'll step to you. Oh God, what? Help. Bryce says, I'll be like, Bryce. Well, we saw the first time Bryce charged him out. He threw a helmet and missed the guy by like 1,000 feet and then ran away. Bryce Harper has never been in a fight his entire life. I will tell you that if he has, it sure did slip through the grapevines here in Las Vegas. Because I can tell you, Chris Bryant's never been in a fight. Jason Shreve's never been in a fight. I can tell you that, like 100%.
Yeah, but Amir Garrett has.
Well, I can tell you that I watched Amir Garrett get into a fight with my own players in a basketball gym. So yeah, I've seen a fight. But there are players that if you get into a fight in this town, you know you're a fighter. I know there's a few though. I can tell you a few besides Amir that are playing pro baseball right now that don't take no shit from nobody. You don't get no coke. But Bryce ain't one of them. Bryce has no reputation of being a tough guy. In fact, Bryce Harper's last high school game was somewhat of a to-do. So we'll say that Papelbon, I'd give him the vote in my cool guy Hall of Fame, but not as a baseball Hall of Fame.
No. Doesn't get it.
Another hot name for a little bit, Jake Peavy.
Nope.
That's a no for me too. This next one though is tough for me because I'm actually on the window. I'm on the fence. Andy Pettit, someone that admitted to taking PEDs, someone that said that apologized for taking PEDs, someone that was one of the best, if not the best left-handing starter of his time period, along with Tom Glavine.
And Randy Johnson.
And Randy Johnson, big unit. So I'm going to go for Pettit.
I think the postseason resume puts him over the top.
Okay.
You know,
we got a Pettit in there.
I mean, if you just looked at his regular season, you'd say no. But I think the postseason puts him over the top.
Okay. All right, this one I'm sure you have a very different opinion than mine because I loved watching this guy get his ass beat by Michael Barrett. But White Sox fans love him, and he is a great dude if he's on your team because he's a total doucher. He's your Josh Donaldson.
Yes.
To be honest. AJ Pierzynski.
You know, the funny thing is, I'm going to give my opinion, and I'm going to say something. I do not think so. I know Hawk Harrelson believes he's a Hall of Famer. I don't. I think he's in the Hall of Very Good. I think AJ was the absolute perfect player that the 2005 White Sox needed. They needed someone to be the dick, for lack of a better way to put it. But I think a lot of fans make AJ Pierzynski out to be something he is not. Because all I ever heard is, and this is especially in 2013, 2012 was his last year with the Sox. 2013, the Sox lost 99 games. And I cannot tell you how many people I heard say some variation of this statement. Well, they lack AJ's leadership. Well, where was AJ's leadership in 2006 when they folded down the stretch? Where was it in 2007 when they lost 90 games? Where was it in 2011 when the whole fucking locker room was up in flames? You had the Kenny and Ozzy stuff. You had
jerseys up and shit.
Well, he was already gone by then.
That's Chris.
Yeah, he was gone by then. But a lot of Sox fans made AJ out to be a combination of Johnny Bench and General George S. Patton. And he wasn't. He was a good player.
It's a hometown
greatest.
It's a hometown bias.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because look,
that's the greatest catcher.
No, and from an opposing viewpoint, or an opposing team viewpoint, so not a Sox fan, so obviously not a Pierzynski fan. I'm going to say this before let me preface it with this: every team needs their asshole. Every team,
absolutely, and
they need half a pricks on the field at all times. And your catcher of all positions is perfectly suited to be the quintessential half a prick. You need that. You need that on the bump, and you need that behind the dish. You need somebody that's going to go out and say, you know what? Shut up. You want to pip that home run? They're gonna even if they don't even care that you pimped a homer, they're gonna jump on you because they know that you're not us. Fuck you. That's what Brzezinski brought to the table. He was a Dennis Rodman. He was an instigator. He was a pot stirrer, and that's great. You need those. And so for White Sox fans, he was the greatest thing ever. But he's a dime a dozen across the board with other catchers on other franchises that also their fan base look at their dudes just like AJ Brzezinski. Now, I don't look at Michael Barrett like AJ Brzezinski. I look at Michael Barrett's his knuckles when I see AJ Brzezinski's nose there for a few times. But I don't, you have guys that do that. And I think the Cubs have that right now with Wilson Contreras. He's a pot stirrer. He pot stirs the pot, and Cub fans love it. Does it mean he's a great catcher? I don't think so. But it means he's a good catcher, and Brzezinski's a good catcher and a good hitter, and so is Contreras. But he's not a Hall of Famer. That's where I guess I am at. But he could White Sox Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And to put it this way, in 2013, this is obviously 2012 was his last season. I remember opening day 2013 sitting next to someone who was stunned that someone else was wearing jersey number 12. That jersey should be retired for AJ. I'm like, slow your roll here. He was a good catcher. He was not, I played catcher when I was in Little League and all that other stuff. You can make all the jokes you want. I was Engelbert in Little League, make all the jokes you want. That's the position I always played because Johnny Bench, as everyone knows, was my favorite player. He was a catcher. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a catcher. So that's what I played. I'm familiar with some of the intricacies of the position, some of the requirements. You have to be a good game caller. Not so much anymore because the teams are calling the pitches from the dugout for most catchers. You have to be able to shift your weight left and right because you got to be able to block the balls in the dirt and catch any kind of wild pitch or anything like that. Got to be able to throw because you got runners trying to steal second and third, and maybe you can also pick them off of first base. And you got to also be willing to stand there and take a pop if someone's coming to try and score on you. So there's a lot involved. And honestly, don't forget, there's only two players who were involved in almost every play of the game. The pitcher and the catcher. They're the ones who are involved in just about every play when you're out on the field. So there's a different level. Was AJ incredibly smart? Yes, absolutely. No doubt about it. Was AJ a good defensive catcher? Not really. There were a lot of pass balls. There were a lot of stolen bases on him. And his pitching staff didn't help with the stolen bases because sometimes it's on the catcher. A lot of times it's on the pitcher. But he was 100%. Also, what's that?
100%. The idea of holding on runners. Yeah. It's becoming a more of a, it's kind of like with hitters not adjusting their swing. Pitchers are getting to the point where they don't give two shits about what you're doing at first. Like, look at John Lester. he didn't learn. I don't think he learned to move to first till the Cubs. He came over to the Cubs because it really started to affect him because the Cardinals, his first start as a Cub, they were like, oh, really? All right, we're going to go take every bag. Thanks, dude. Yeah. And they had to figure it out. But that's the same kind of thing. But holding runners, catchers, that's the thing about Mike Piazza. He was beholden to who delivered the pitches to him, and he had a lot of long deliveries. And Brzezinski, you can blame a little bit on the deliveries, but at the same time, your pop and redirect still's got to be quick.
Yep, exactly. And I always think of something I heard Tom Seaver say. He admitted most stolen bases were on him because he's like, the guy ran off me. It ain't the catcher's fault. It's on me. He goes, because of my delivery. I know that. And you look at some of the pictures he had. I mean, where I think AJ really was helped, one guy helped AJ make him not look as bad as he was when it came to base runners. And that was Burley.
He's so good.
Because Burley could just flip it over to first base and pick the guy up.
Him
And the
and
guy
Tom
would be standing there like, what happened?
That snap throw.
Yeah.
That him and Tom Glavine both.
Yes.
Those two guys. That snap throw I've tried to teach to every lefty kid I've ever coached. I want like, you can get that snap throw down. You were going to catch dudes because again, when you come set and you see them cross their feet, God, I don't know how many, again, young ball players out here. You're not Dorothy. We're not playing when this isn't Oz. You're not singing. There's no place at home. You're not clicking your freaking ankles together when you're taking a lead. Balanced, always balanced. Better yet, we're never crossing our feet. Every single lefty I've coached, I'm like, watch the feet. The minute they cross those feet, snap throw, gone. And for a high school kid to learn that, it's very difficult because the arms are not developed. But man, when those dudes do it, they're doing it against dudes that aren't even crossing. Like they're not making stupid, fundamental mistakes like crossing their feet when they're taking a lead. They're getting dudes that are actually taking healthy leads with good balance, and they're just that quick. And I that's one of my favorite moves in the game is that lefty snap throw. And Burley, him and Glavine were the two best of our time, at least that I can recall. Period.
Yep, absolutely. But with AJ, I love the guy. I got a signed AJ game worn jersey hanging in another room, but he's not a Hall of Famer.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, next up, another one. Manny Ramirez.
The numbers scream absolutely he should be, but there's a lot of questions about how
Female
the numbers
pregnancy
were
hormones?
achieved. I mean, honestly, I think that he will never get in. Let's just say that. I don't think he'll ever get in.
I vote for Manny.
I'd vote for him, but I don't think he'll ever get in.
I think that Manny being Manny was obviously some things.
That one play where he intercepted the ball from Johnny Damon is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
He was just such a good hitter, though. Like that's Chris Bryant. Yeah. That's Chris's favorite player of all time.
Oh, Manny?
Besides him and Barry. Like Manny, and he got to work with Manny when Theo took over and KB was drafted. Manny became like a roving hitting instructor for the Cubs organization. So he got to work with Manny a little bit. But no, man, I don't give a shit. Like whatever he was taking, fine. Because what he did with the bat was some of the most incredible bat skills I've ever seen in my lifetime. So for me, Manny is an in. And again, maybe this is the all steroids or the all we don't give a shit about steroids now because at least they're not hitting garbage cans and stealing signs using cameras. Part of this journey, but I could care less if the Major League Baseball is not going to do anything to Houston. These guys belong in the Hall of Fame.
And again, not only the Houston thing, but even before that, Bud Selig was put in the Hall of Fame. So you can't put Bud in, who oversaw the steroid era.
On a blind eye.
Oh, yeah. And also, wasn't he the commissioner when the strike happened and the canceled World Series happened?
Whoops.
Yeah. So a lot of credibility with Bud getting in, to me, sort of, you can't, again, it's hypocrisy. You can't put Bud in and then say, oh, we can't put these guys in because they were steroid guys. And there's steroid guys who don't belong in the Hall of Fame. Not because they did steroids, but they stunk. I mean, we know Brady Anderson did steroids when he had that 50 homer season.
What? I thought it was about his sideburns.
And Yumper brings up a great point. Rob Manfred was the lawyer for the owners and all that, and all those times too. And just here's something to think about. Rob Manfred may not get his contract renewed with the owners. They're not too happy with him.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yep. And remember who was against Rob Manfred. There was one very vocal owner against Rob Manfred.
Jared?
Yes, it was. It was Jerry.
Why didn't Jerry like him? Why didn't Jerry like him?
Jerry thought he was an idiot. To put it bluntly.
Fair enough.
And
Jerry
you know
was
what?
right.
Yes, Jerry was right. Yeah.
All right, this next one, taking away from his obviously god awful color commentary on Sunday Night Baseball, and the fact that that Jose Canseco is his daddy.
Yes.
Alex Rodriguez.
This is a guy again. You can't ignore the numbers, no matter how you think he got to him. And yes, he was suspended. He was busted one time in 2009. He was suspended in what year was it? 13, I think it was. I don't think he will ever get in, but the numbers are tough to argue with.
Again, a guy that admitted to it.
Mm-hmm.
That changes everything for me a lot.
Yeah.
Numbers are there. And he was always a big guy. So I don't know how long the steroids and stuff and all the peds were going on with him, but I know a buddy of mine in college was a sophomore when A-Rod was a senior at Westminster in Florida when they were in high school, and he was always a big guy. And I used to always ask him, I'm like, Eddie, is he doing shit? Eddie was like, dude, no, not at least in high school. And we all hung out. So I'm like, Eddie was younger, so he might not have been privy to a lot of that stuff, but
right.
What Eddie knew and what those, again, at Westminster was kind of a factory at the time.
Yeah.
He would have known. He would have known because he would have been doing the same thing, and Eddie didn't take anything out of there. In fact, yeah, he was actually offered in college. We were at a place, and he's like, get the out of my face. So Eddie was like that kind of guy. So he would have been like a big stiffler to it. So I go with A-Rod. He's got the numbers. This one's interesting to me, too, because he was a very, very good third baseman. Scott Rowland.
Very underrated third baseman.
Very, yeah, because he played for the Phillies. He didn't really start
Cards.
getting any credit until he went to the Cardinals. And then,
Yeah.
because he was always consistently like just good.
Yes.
Pain in the ass, really, to pitch against, too.
You know, I will be honest. At first blush, I was like, Scott Rowland, But when you dig in and look a little deeper, man, there's a strong case to be made. And there's one thing to remember about the Hall of Fame. If you go and look after this year's ballot, you got one guy on there who you would say is a lock to get in the Hall of Fame, whether it's this year or next year, and that's Big Papi. There's really no one on the next couple years' ballots until you get to Ichiro's ballot. And Ichiro's going to be in first ballot, no question. It's going to be the biggest crowd Cooperstown ever had because you're going to get all those people from Japan coming to see Ichiro. They're going to invade Cooperstown. But I got to go yes with Roland. Originally, I said no, but the more I look, it's like, yeah, I could see it.
I'm in on Roland. I think the dude is, again, quiet. Again, third baseman. Look at some of these numbers. I mean, you don't want to say Mike Schmidt.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're having this kind of a career where you hit 316 home run, I mean, it's not a Schmidt, but he had 281 as a career, 364. He had 855 career OPS. Rookie of the year. A couple all-star appearing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It also brings up a great point. He was the protection for Albert Pujols.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And if you're put in that position, you got to be doing something right.
He was just consistently good. And then his defensive numbers are just fantastic. I mean, he was very, very good defensively. I mean, 954, was it? No, 968 fielding percentage at the hot corner. Incredible. So, yeah, I'm with you there. As far as, 17 seasons, 186 errors. Yeah. That's a long career, too. Obviously on the downside of that career, I think a lot of the latter parts of his career probably obviously hurt his numbers a little bit more. But
right.
even in his 2010 year, which is his third to last season, he hit 285 and drove in 83 and hit 20 jacks. And I don't know how old he was, 35 years old at that point. It's not too shabby. The guy played till he was 37. So, you got to get a little bit of a downturn in those last few years. But, at age 34, in 2009, he hit 320 with Toronto, and they got traded to Cincinnati and still hit 370 over there. But he ended up hitting 305 for the season with 11 homers. And, again, how much are you going to drive in if you're the guy that hits in front of Pujols? Or that peak Pujols.
Right.
Peak Pujols is very different. Like, your job is to literally just let that dude go freakish. Or
your job is to make sure he gets good pitches to hit.
He was behind Pujols, which is worse because everything's cleared. Hey, what's up? Hey, how's that? How come you've lost so much weight? Well, I go to the buffet after Albert Pujols. Oh, well, then there's nothing there to eat. Like he eats the whole thing. Well, I tried my best.
Yes,
I found a few breadcrumbs, and that's what kind of Roland had to deal with. So yeah, I say Roland's in. I'm a plus on them. Jimmy Rollins.
Close, but no cigar.
Agreed. Just not enough yet. Especially as a shortstop. Just
right.
All right, this one, bloody sock and all, and being a weird online gamer, and I don't know
Just
if he's
a weird dude. Period.
Not entirely sure he didn't storm the Capitol on January 6th, but Kurt Schilling. I'll let you choose first, but I don't want to influence your decision with my decision.
You know, I can honestly go either way with him. If he got in, it'd be like, okay. If he didn't, okay. What I think is a differentiator with him, yes, he's a fucking weird ass dude. Yes, I know a lot of people don't agree with his politics, but the vote for the Hall of Fame is not about politics. It's about what did you do when it was time for you to post on the field. And if you look at his numbers, if you looked at his regular season numbers, I say no. But factoring in the beast that he was come October, you got to say yes.
Well, good. Because
it's like the Pettit argument. I think if you look at just them in the regular season, no. But you got to factor in their October performance. Wasn't it Pettit? Yeah, I know. I can't wait for that speech.
You know, person if he gets in, he can't give his speech. He can't give his speech.
That is Jane Forbes Clark's worst nightmare. Is this possible class is her worst nightmare because she does not want the questions about the PEDs for some players, the politics for a certain other player, and she doesn't want the speech giving and all of the crap that goes with it. If a certain person gives a speech in Cooperstown in July, she doesn't want a certain element there because you're going to get both sides of the element there.
Yeah, you will.
She doesn't want none of that.
Yeah. I'm in on Schilling.
And honestly,
he earned it on the field to me.
Yeah.
I think he's a total turd bucket of a human being.
Yes, I agree.
I think the bloody sock was bullshit.
Oh yeah, and without question.
I never bought that. Maybe it was, but he just, I don't know.
He embellished it.
It felt embellished. There you go. It felt embellished. It felt like it was an attempt to create a narrative story that goes along with what amazing stuff was happening with those. What do they call themselves? Idiots or whatever. What do they call
the
them?
idiots.
The idiots. Yeah. So I mean that was fine, but no, again Schilling's he's earned it. I wouldn't hang out with him again. A guy kind of like Clemens. I wouldn't piss on if he was caught on fire, but nah.
That's part of the problem I have with the sports writers too. You have to be objective.
We're going to talk about this in a second with film critics too. Same thing.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Same thing. You don't review a film based on the politics of the director. You review a film because what was the film?
There's
150 other people doing the job too. It's not just the director. So yeah, same concept. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it's taking a variation of a Martin Luther King line. You look at it not based on the content of their policy or their beliefs, but the content of their character. Meaning, what did they do on the field? Yeah, there are players who I think are absolute raging assholes, who I have met, who are just absolute raging assholes. But I will be the first one to say, yes, that guy belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't care about your content or your character as much as their content. Did you hit a baseball in the gap on an outer half?
Or did you strike a guy out with 2 outs in the ninth to get a win?
You have, are you a throwing 7 no-hitters? Like, come on, Nolan Ryan's a big, tough badass, but I'm sure he's very difficult to get along with sometimes. I would not vote for Nolan Ryan because he's all pitchers have to be good pitchers.
Yes,
half a prick sometimes.
Carlton
that line is not fake. They got to be a dickhead sometimes to get it done on the bump. Anyone that thinks that you're going to go out there and play patty cake doesn't understand sports and competitive highly. And you see it with, we can rant all we want on social media, all we want about. It's just not so. Be so nice to people. These people don't give two shits. I'm watching this football game right here, and Crawford just now tried to rip some dude's head off from the Giants. He's a Giant. Tried to rip Giovanni Bernard's head off. Why? Because he had the football. This isn't patty cake. It's not sarcastaball. Same thing with baseball. These dudes are out there playing for their livelihood. They don't give two shits about your feelings. And some of these guys go out there, and their whole thing is to go out there and hate everybody and fuel the fire with that as inspiration that pulls it out of their gut and their belly.
There was a goat. The goat of goats was guilty of that. And if you didn't watch The Last Dance, you missed out on it, because that's what he did to himself. He basically built narratives that
created it.
Yeah.
We're going to hate somebody. You got to hate somebody, man.
Yes.
I do this guy, secret. All right. Spencer Kofer, if you're listening to this podcast, I apologize to you. We have this kid who's he was a senior ace. He's actually, his dad kicked for the 49ers for a bit, actually. And he was really good starting pitcher for us at Green Valley High School. And
is it Matt Kofer?
His name is Spencer his dad, Kofer, I don't know. Kofer, oh wait, I gotta spell it right. Kofer, 49ers. It's actually a pretty good baseball. Mike Kofer. Okay. But so Spence is pitching, and so he had transferred over to our program before I even got there, but at Coronado High School, which was like a rival school. They're kind of the rich kid schools. Green Valley's not the rich kid school, but it's the best baseball public school in Vegas. It always has been. Won 8 state championships. I go to the bullpen, obviously, before Spence comes down, because Spence is out doing some agilities and getting loose and doing like regular like stretching. And of course I write fuck Kofer in the dirt with a stick right in the bullpen, where I knew he would walk up and see, but I didn't see it. I wrote it, put the stick, threw it in the fucking trash, moved on. Spence walks in and goes, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "What? Huh? What's wrong? What did you do?" like in Tommy Boy when he rips the top of the door off. What did you do? He's like, "They wrote fuck Kofer on here." I'm like, "They did? You should shove. You should probably shove." Created a whole narrative. Dude went out there, had a fucking hair up his ass and a chip on his shoulder, and threw one of the best games I've seen that kid throw. We create narratives as athletes. Athletes create narratives. People that need inspiration find it in the most unusual places, even when the empty barrel is sitting there in front of you. You have to find a way as a professional athlete. If you don't have something to drive you, you have to create something that drives you. And I don't think people get that sometimes. Some of these guys that act like assholes and that are dicks and that are pricks and that they're out there and they're like the Bill Lambiers of the world, right? They create that because that's what gets them going. And some of the other stuff just doesn't get them going. It's just not their shtick. It's not their thing. And so I love that idea of guys that do that kind of like they twist the knife a little bit. And I don't know, the idea of like creating narratives and making dudes hate you. Like you do that. And so I get it. I don't think that Schilling or Clemens or Nolan Ryan, I don't think they're horrible human. Well, okay, Schilling's kind of a horrible human, but I don't think as a baseball player they're horrible human beings. They create their conflict that drives them, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And that's a good thing, actually. I think athletes need to do that more. As long as when the game is over, it ends and then you move on. Because really good ones, as soon as that last pitch is done, are gracious and grateful and thankful and show sportsmanship. And they're like, "Thanks for the challenge. I appreciate the time. Good luck to you guys too. We'll see you on the flip side." Not, "Fuck you. I got you." No, dude, thanks for the challenge, man. This was good. This was good for us. I like a good challenge. I like a good game of chess. I like a good game of Madden.
Watch the end of any NFL game. What do you think that is?
I love jersey swaps. Jersey swaps are one of my favorite.
Jersey swaps are awesome. But you see them, you'll see the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman come together and just say, "Hey man, great game. You really brought it," all that kind of stuff. And then you'll see a certain clique get into the prayer group out there.
Oh, you went muted. I don't think StreamYard likes you talking about prayer groups.
I guess. But you'll see them in prayer groups, the jersey swaps, and they just basically go up to each other and say, "Hey man, see, like you said, see you on the flip side. Great game. We got the better of you this time, but I know you're going to bring it next time."
Now, yes, of course, It's not always that way. There are people that you genuinely just dislike on the other side of the field.
Oh yeah.
And own that too. Again, me, if I'm playing the Packers and I'm a Bear, I hate you. I hate you.
Mhm.
So you take that shit off your chest. That's me. But again, we're also in a day and age too. And I'll say this about the current crop of athletes. Now that I've seen, this is the generation that I've coached. These guys are all adults. The people that are, the guys that are playing Major League Baseball and pro sports right now are guys that I've had come through our program, right? And the competition level. I don't think I think the talent is higher. I think the physical conditioning is better than it's ever been. But I do think the one thing that's missing is these guys play so many games that the idea of hating losing isn't really that big of a deal to them. They don't hate losing as much because they play 120 club ball scout games. And some of those games don't mean shit sometimes. They're not real. They're not like your state championship for your high school team. So they play all these games and they don't really hate losing so much. So you're seeing guys that have to create more of these narratives to build up that intensity because they never really learned to hate losing. And God, the ultimate like carrot to chase is I don't want to lose today. I don't want to lose today. I'm going to do everything in my power to not lose. And the guys today, I don't think they hate losing so much. They're going to go as soon as the game's over, handshake and move on out. So they have to create something else. And that's fine. Not wanting to lose used to be it. Now it's whatever they can figure out. Like if you fictionalize them calling your mom a hoe, then that's what you got to do. It's just much easier to hate losing.
And if you ever want to see a great movie example of this, watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High. When they wreck Jefferson's car and what they do with it. That is the perfect example of this.
Dad's got an awesome set of tools.
I can fix it.
I can fix it. Great line. Forrest Whitaker. Oh, man.
And Sean Penn in his best role ever. I know he's won 2 Academy Awards, but Spicoli is the best role ever.
So good. And you think, it's my noggin, bro. Sorry.
That's my skull. I'm so wasted.
So good.
All right.
All right. So let's go. We got Schilling down.
Yep.
This one's Gary Sheffield.
I am a no because 2 things. His time in Milwaukee, there were a lot of stories. He was not happy there, so he threw some games, or I shouldn't say threw. He did not compete as he should. And also, we know he worked out with Barry Bonds. We know he was training with Barry Bonds. There's questions about him reaching some of the numbers he did because of the work he did with Barry Bonds. It's not like he was a great player before all this came about. It helped him, in my opinion, to get there. And that's the difference I take between saying Bonds and Clemens should be in and Sheffield should not.
I'm going to say this right now. Barry Bonds and Gary Sheffield are the 2 most incredible swings I've ever seen in my lifetime of my generation.
I don't know how he hasn't thrown his back out.
The bat speed from both of those 2 dudes that they generate, I don't think there are any players during their time period that are even close. I don't think Mike Trout is close with his bat speed.
No,
the bat speed that Gary Sheffield produced, and obviously Bonds did too. Gary Sheffield hit 509 home runs. He had a 400 almost, a 393 on base percentage. He hit 292 for his career. The dude was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-time All-Star, it looks like. 3rd in the MVP voting, 6th in the MVP voting, 3rd in the MVP voting, 2nd in the MVP voting. I think he's in. He's a 22-year career, man. This dude consistently put up numbers, and his swing, god dang, man.
I don't know how he didn't blow his back out.
Here's the thing: is his swing. We see a lot of the pre-pitch movement, a lot of the hands, the move. This right.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Sheffield, the second he decided it was time to explode, all that noise goes quiet. Like his bat speed through the zone is just, again, him and Barry Bonds, only 2 players of that time period that I believe had that bat speed. And that's not a steroid thing. That's a forearm. That's a hips. That's everything in wrists. Yep. At 100%. And that's not a steroid thing. And he never was a big guy in the first place. His thing was 100% what we would call today exit velo to all the current numbers. His exit velo was off the charts. I remember watching him do a hitting display on like one of those Fox Morning baseball things, and he hit a ball and they tracked it through the zone, and I'm like, God, like just the bat path too, like just going from and just that push and pull of that swing is just. And so for me, I'd say he's in, but again, the questions that surround him also surround Barry Bonds. So there's also a legitimate question for me. I say Sheffield in, but I also am Sheffield's one of my favorite hitters of my lifetime. So I'm probably biased in that sense. Next one up. Speaking of bias, should I be biased? I'm a Cub fan. Sammy Sosa.
Do you want bias back? Oh, sorry. That's a different question.
Oh, that's a different bias.
Sammy Sosa, for the same argument that I used with Sheffield. I don't think he was a Hall of Famer before he started doing it. He was an average player. And I think when he started doing it, he totally focused on one end of his game and abandoned the other.
Okay. I mean, the numbers are there. A Yumper will stab us both, by the way. Because I think Sammy Sosa is like one of his favorite players of all time. I'm going to say yes on Sammy again, because if we're doing the same shit that we're pulling, if we're letting Barry off the hook and we're letting Rocket off the hook and we're letting Schilling's off the, letting Schilling off the hook here, then we got to let Sosa off the hook. Despite the fact that all of a sudden he learned how to somehow forgot to speak and learned how to, he didn't know how to speak English the minute he got in front of Congress somehow. Weird.
And he was a private person too. That's the part. That's the one that I laughed my ass off at.
Pink? No, private Pink.
Yeah.
Private.
No, I actually took the day off work that day so I could stay home and watch that. And it was fucking high comedy.
The thing is, we know that Sammy was one of the failed drug tests that came out, but they couldn't officially name because of maybe it's a HIPAA.
Possible, yeah. Or also the drug test was supposed to stay anonymous.
Yeah, but everyone in the game knows who one of those anonymous positives was, and it was Sammy. Like that's it. And Sammy's refused
another one
things, and
another one was David Ortiz.
But it doesn't matter. And what Yupper says is correct. It doesn't matter, cheating or not. He did him and McGuire saved baseball. With what they did. The numbers are there. Again, numbers don't hit curveballs, and steroids don't hit curveballs to me. Like again, I actually think that PEDs, especially HGH, should be beneficial and used in the game. That's one of my little opinions. If there's no negative side effects that are really noticeable for helping pitchers recover from surgery or players recover from catastrophic injury, it should be used. It shouldn't be shunned. It's a good technology. Why shouldn't we have the best made athletes in the world? Should we cheat? Is it cheating? I don't know. Is recovery cheating? I don't know. I'm not going to tell a high school kid to ever put anything in their body other than water, milk, Del Taco, probably some Raising Cane's, and a lot of cardio. But I can tell you this: those dudes. If you want to put that again, I mean, the NFL gets away with murder. I'm sorry, the amount of steroids and whatever goes on in the NFL and the painkiller abuse and all the drug abuse, still to this day, pales in comparison to a steroid. A lot of these dudes that are great. Brett Favre plays half the games he plays if he's not abusing painkillers. Do we talk about that? No. That's
he's a warrior.
If it allows him to show up every day, it's a performance enhancer. If without it, he wouldn't show up. That's a performance enhancer.
Well, remember, he's a warrior.
70s, also performance enhancer. So Ozzie Smith, when you pop a greenies, you performance enhancer.
No, he wasn't popping greenies. He was drinking a leaded coffee that just happened to have greenies in there.
He didn't drop them. So that's where I kind of sit with it. So no, yeah, and Yupper's going to be surprised. I think Sammy Sosa should be in the Hall of Fame. I really do. I don't think that he should be welcome back at Wrigley until he apologizes, which would be the easiest thing for Sammy Sosa to do, and he refuses to do it. He still won't even admit that he used a cork bat. He still to this day says I chose the one I like to use batting practice.
And there's another point. He is a confirmed cheater.
Yeah, he's a weak peacemaker too.
He's a confirmed cheater. The cork bat. So to me that also and the thing that cracks me up about it, and this is a character, part of the thing they're supposed to take into account character of the player. First off, like I said before about others, the writers who vote are raging hypocrites because they have no problem voting these guys MVPs and size and everything else. But when it comes time to get into the Hall of Fame, oh my God, the integrity of the game. You know what? Right here, F you, because you had no problem with the integrity when you were voting for Sosa as an MVP in '98. Now you're going to quote integrity? No, that shit don't fly.
Yep.
But the thing with Sosa is this turned me off to Sosa no end. It was
Hold on, real quick. I gotta answer Yumper's comment real quick. If Ricketts' dumbass brother is welcome to Wrigley, Sammy can come back. How about this? Neither of them are welcome at Wrigley. Fuck Ricketts' dumbass brother too. He can't be there. So how about that one? Sorry, Yump. You just compared, like you said, hey, this turd should get in, so this turd should get in. No.
right.
Apologize. Welcome back, Sammy. I forgive you. Apologize. Say it with your mouth. Don't pretend it didn't happen. Sammy is playing the long game, which is if I just wait long enough, I'll get the Ron Santo treatment. Someday someone will forget that I was a goddamn cheater and a piece of shit in the clubhouse that nobody liked, including Mark Grace, Ryan Sandberg, Kerry Wood. Kerry Wood busted his damn boombox for a reason. He was an asshole. So you can't play this long game and pretend like a whole generation will forget that you were a douchebag. Say sorry, though. We'll forgive you. But you got to admit it. And then welcome back, Sammy. But Hall of Fame-wise, I'm not asking for an apology. That's a different place. His game, Yumper, you can't apologize for him, buddy. I know you. I love you so much, and you can't. You would apologize. You would probably take a few to the ribs just for him, and I know you would because you love him. But same thing. Just say sorry. With the Hall of Fame, though, you don't. There's no sorry. Fuck it, dude. You prefer the numbers are there.
What I would say is, here's where Sosa lost me. In 2002, the weekend before the All-Star game, which was in Milwaukee, by the way, remember his wife was having surgery. So he needed to step away from the team for the weekend to be with his wife. Right? Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Monday of the home run derby.
The quotes should have been there to be with his wife.
The day his wife had the surgery.
Dipped.
He is in Milwaukee competing in the home run derby. It was okay to sit out those 3 games before his wife had the surgery, but the day she had it, that fucker's in Milwaukee competing in the home run derby. That showed you where his priorities were. His priorities were not with the team or his family. His priorities were with him.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, fuck him.
No, he's an asshole, but then again, so is Kurt Schilling. So is A-Rod. I'm going through our list of dudes that we've both agreed on, and I'd say it's 80% assholes, actually.
Yes.
And Sosa, I believe Sosa should join that list of assholes, but that's not what we're doing here. I just believe Sosa's in. If you think Sosa's out for you. He's not in the Tainted Glove Hall of Fame, unfortunately. It has to be unanimous. So sorry, Sammy. Say you're sorry. Maybe be nice to some people. Maybe be no, never mind. I don't want to make fun of the joke that's really easy with Sammy right now. Actually, that's really bad because I don't know if it's his fault. I mean, if it is his fault, hell yeah, let's make fun of the shit out of him. But for currently right now, the Pink Panther needs to. I don't want to make fun of him for being the Pink Panther right now.
Isn't he more like the White Panther now?
He's just pink.
Pink.
But he had the Michael Jackson stuff, so
yeah.
I think that's why I don't want to make fun of him for that, but I can make fun of him for so many other things. So yeah. But he did. Him and Mark McGwire did save baseball, and so for me, that's why he would be an on. But next up is Mark Teixeira.
No,
Mark Teixeira. That's a no. That's I'm not even sure why he's on the ballot, to be honest. Now this one's pretty polarizing in White Sox because he's a Guardian, ex-Indian. Omar Vizquel.
Omar Vizquel has less of a chance of getting into the Hall of Fame than I do right now with the things that are going on in his life. I think he's the Hall of Very Good. There is something to be said for his defense, but I think he falls just short.
If he's in the Hall of Defense, he's in.
Yes.
Best defensive shortstop I got to watch growing up.
Mhm.
Watching him play shortstop was one of the privileges, I think, of my big fandom of watching so much baseball as a young guy.
And I got to watch it up close, and it still annoys the fuck out of me.
He's so good. Like he's so smooth, man. But the answer is no. Yeah, he's a no. But if there was a defensive baseball Hall of Fame, dude would have a plaque, but there isn't. So
Right.
he can be a Guardian Hall of Famer. And so the last,
I think the Guardians might be trying to distance themselves from him too.
probably two. And now the last but not least, the dude with horse legs, the legs of a thoroughbred Kentucky Derby Triple Crown winner,
Mhm.
lefty, gas thrower, Billy Wagner.
It's awful close for me. I just don't think there's enough runway for his career. But it's awful damn close.
He's into me. He's one of those underrated relievers. Again, for me, 422 saves, 86% save percentage, 13 holds, 504 save situations. The dude, just incredible. He was the most dominant guy in the game for a bit. You didn't want to face him down at all. He was throwing 101, 100. He was the guy that was throwing cheddar where nobody else. Yeah, we look at today and we're like, oh, everyone throws 100. Billy Wagner was one of a few guys, if any, at that time, throwing 100 miles an hour, hitting triple digits on the gun, period. So for me, Billy Wagner is 100% a Hall of Famer. He, again, is a byproduct of the bias towards relievers in the Hall of Fame. He's better than Papelbon. He's better than Joe Nathan. Even though
I'll give you that. Yeah, absolutely.
I felt like Nathan was still borderline to me too. I think he's more of a Hall of Famer than Mark Burley. I think he's more of a Hall of Famer than Jake Peavy. I think when I look at the pitchers on this list, because he does a different job. And in the specialization era that we live in now, we can't judge pitchers based on the same judgment systems that we use to judge a Sandy Koufax, because those guys took the pill and didn't get off the field until they gave up the pill. Nowadays, dudes will go 5 innings, 6 innings,
but that's more driven by the team, not the player.
Well, yeah, and it's not. But Billy Wagner's job was to get outs and finish games, and he finished a whole lot. I mean, when you look at the career, look at career saves leaders. Where is Billy on that list? And the answer is 6th all time, ahead of Dennis Eckersley, ahead of Jeff Reardon, Troy Percival, Randy Myers, Raleigh Fingers, who's in the Hall of Fame.
But Fingers came from an entirely different generation, and you remember those guys, Fingers and Gossage, had 2 or 3 inning saves.
So here you go: Mariano Rivera, Trevor Hoffman, Lee Smith, Francisco Rodriguez, John Franco. The only 5 pitchers as closers with more saves than Billy Wagner. And John Franco is literally 2 ahead of him. Eckersley, not even close. I know Ecker was a starter for a second.
Yes.
But
Eckersley was a starter for at least 10 years.
If you're top 5 all-time in saves, you're in the Hall of Fame. We need to stop with this, like, ignoring closers because they're closers. Like, if you're a top 5 closer of all time, you need to be in the damn Hall of Fame because that's part of the game now at this point.
And I would use the same argument about the DH.
True.
Like it, don't like it, it's part of the game.
Yep. And that's, at least with closers, it's all across the board. DH is half and half.
Well, not for much longer.
Not for long. Right. That'll be normalized pretty quick. But
yeah,
I think Billy Wagner should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm actually very, like, I actually argue way too much about that. Oh, another interception by Daniel Jones. So that's that. So we talked about the Hall of Fame. I know you wanted to bring up the Golden Era Committee.
Yes.
I know we're already deep in.
Yes.
I'm getting yelled at actually outside the
nice.
room. So Golden Era, do we want to talk about the Golden Era? Or do we want to just move into?
Let's talk about the Golden Era next week.
Okay, we'll talk about the Golden Era next week. We'll also talk a little bit about the Cubs getting Ramirez, not the Ramirez, the other Ramirez from the Indians, whatever.
No, it's not the Indians. It's the Guardians.
Spiders. And then, of course, they're actually mentioned as one of the top 5 teams for Steven Matz or whatever. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. But really, let's be honest, guys. Until me and Pete are back, which is next Monday night, I'm sure the Cubs will sign maybe 1 or 2 more minor league deals. So let's not get up. And then, of course, we're talking about the White Sox being mentioned with Suzuki and Max Scherzer next week as well. But real quick, because it did come out and we got nostalgic, I did get to go see Ghostbusters, the new one, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Twice. Why twice, you might ask? Fantastic, guys. If you're a Ghostbusters fan and you love the films, especially Ghostbusters 1, even Ghostbusters, I actually would say this is better than Ghostbusters 2. I loved it. I cried like 4 times, both times. So make it 8 times. I cried. The film itself is 100% what critics would call fan service, which is the stupidest, weak dick, critical argument ever. Oh my God, you provided the audience what they wanted? You're so not edgy. What did you want? It's Ghostbusters. Okay. It's not Parasite. Okay. Slimer is not like some sort of metaphor for the economic system in a capitalist society. It's a fucking John Belushi as a ghost. Period. Like, it's not political. It's Animal House. So, Ghostbusters 2 is fantastic. Harold Ramis, what a tribute to Harold Ramis. And again, I did a whole unit with my students, and this made it even probably impacted me more, is the fact that up to the release to it as someone that taught Harold Ramis to my class and how incredible a guy is. Again, the dude wrote Meatballs. The dude wrote Animal House. The dude wrote, he wrote, directed, produced Groundhog Day. I mean, what the guy produced as an individual, which is crazy that him and Bill Murray had the falling out after, during Groundhog Day, which is sad. But there's a really cool story if you watch the movies that made us, that Bill Murray, unfortunately, Harold Ramis was on his deathbed. Egon, by the way, if you're not sure who I'm talking about here with Ghostbusters, he was on his deathbed, and Bill Murray didn't know where he lived in Glencoe, Illinois. Rolled into the police station. Said, I need to find Harold Ramis. Got a police escort to Harold Ramis's house, stopped and got donuts on the way, and then rolled up and made amends with Harold Ramis. The two spent the day together talking on their deathbed or whatever. And so, yeah, he co-wrote with Dan Aykroyd, but Dan Aykroyd really pretty much wrote Ghostbusters. Dan
Aykroyd wrote it for John
Belushi, Eddie Murphy, and himself. That was the original 3 Ghostbusters. Eddie Murphy and so John Belushi died. Actually, he was actually writing dialogue for John Belushi, his best friend, when he got the phone call that John Belushi passed away. And so obviously that happened. Richard Pryor was supposed to be in it for a second, then he set himself on fire. Eddie Murphy obviously was one of the choices. If you look at the storyboards, when Venkman gets slimed, the storyboard is actually Eddie Murphy getting slimed. It's actually pretty incredible. And can I say one thing real quick? If you ever get the chance, watch the Belushi documentary on Showtime, because Dan Aykroyd talks specifically about writing Ghostbusters during Belushi's last days. Yep. He actually was with Belushi a little bit before. He thought Belushi got cleaned up because they had spent some time in Martha's Vineyard, which is where Aykroyd lived. And actually, when they went back to rewrite with Harold Ramis and Ivan Reitman, they isolated themselves in Martha's Vineyard, same place, and basically camped out in the basement and finished all the additions. I also didn't know this. Did you know that the Zool and the gatekeeper keymaster, the dogs, was actually Sigourney Weaver's idea? She went to the audition with Ivan Reitman and started going, I think this should be like a dog. Like, started doing like a dog, acting like a dog in the audition. They're like, okay. And she's like, I think I should be possessed by the dog. And then, of course, Rick Moranis, who the character wasn't supposed to be a dork. Rick Moranis is like, I got really good ideas for this character. And he created, obviously, Tully. Or was this Tully? Louis Tully, right? Louis Tully.
Yes.
Created that character as a...
All right. Who brought the dog?
The heavy hitters of this film. So good. And so, again, teaching this with my kids, going through all the basics and showing them who Harold Ramis was. I felt an exceptional attachment to Harold Ramis, just based on that, because I'm like, man, like all this, like you start realizing, oh God, I mean, like Meatballs, underrated.
Absolutely.
Right? You've got obviously Animal House, which he was a part of the writing process of that, Ghostbusters. But then you look at some of the other stuff that he was a part of. And I mean, even towards the end of his life, and as he got, he had a vasculitis, I think it was called. Excuse me, I sneezed. Where he woohoo, no cross-eyed sneeze. He showed up in like Seth Rogen films or whatever, even though he was obviously struggling with this. He played
Seth Rogen's dad in Knocked Up.
Correct, and he couldn't walk a lot of the time. He had to like teach himself to re-walk again, and the hard part of what was really sad about him is that he did produce so many iconic American comedies. Ivan Reitman directed a bunch of them, a bunch of great comedies, like Twins and Junior and some of those really good ones, Meatballs but Harold Ramis wrote it. Look at some of this work. Caddyshack he wrote and directed his first film. He's the director that said, "Hey, Bill, Chevy, we don't have a script for this scene. Bill, we got you for a day. Psh, just make your shit up." The iconic Carl Spackler tie scene where they're in his house, and at the end he pulls out obviously the leaf blower to clean his house. He directed Vacation, original Clark Griswold, Wally World. He directed and wrote Club Paradise with Robin Williams, also amazing. Peter O'Toole, Jimmy Cliff. I mean, this is all SCTVs. Andrea Martin, Eugene Levy, Rick Moranis, they're all in it. He directed and wrote and produced Groundhog Day. We could also think
Didn't he do Stripes too?
He wrote Stripes.
Okay.
This is really like his whole like a writing director. These are all the films he's directed. He directed Stuart Saves His Family. Doggone it, I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. People like me. He directed the Michael Keaton movie, Multiplicity. Fantastic. And I know some of you Chicagoans love this freaking film. He wrote and directed both Analyze This and Analyze That.
Yes.
Fantastic organized crime, comedy with Billy Crystal, Robert De Niro, among others, Lisa Kudrow. Just fantastic. He also did Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser and Liz Hurley. Gorgeous. Oh my God. And The Ice Harvest, which was actually a little bit serious, with John Cusack and Billy Bob Thornton and Randy Quaid. And then he did Year One. We would pretend like that never happened. Yeah. Jack Black and Michael Cera. But he wrote Animal House. He wrote Meatballs. He wrote Stripes, Ghostbusters, Back to School. Thank you for that one. The John Candy classic, Armed and Dangerous, Baby Boom with Diane Keaton, Caddyshack 2, Ghostbusters 2, Rover Dangerfield, and then a couple of like kind of a smaller thing he executive produced. He came up with an idea for a movie in 1991 called Rover Dangerfield. TV wise too, he actually directed multiple episodes of The American The Office. So, and then his acting stuff. I actually underrated role. His appearance in the movie Airheads when he comes as a fake agent that works for the FBI or the cops.
Oh, is Lemmy? What was it? Is Lemmy a man or a god?
Wrong. Yeah. Lemmy is God. Yep. Fantastic joke in that one. So again, guy's an icon. Mm-hmm. So again, getting to watch, talk about that, go over that with my students and how important he was. Like a lot of the stuff that like developed us as young people when we watch comedy. Then you go see Ghostbusters, Afterlife, and it's again. There's at the end credit scene. I'm not joking. It broke me open. The fourth and final breakout of tears is the last thing you see before the end credits roll, which says "For Harold," and I lose it every time now. I'm 2 for 2. The end credit scene. There are 2 end credit scenes that are great. They're fun. There's also a little bit of a reveal. A couple characters we learn a few extra things about, which is great. But the film itself, you got to see it if you're a Ghostbusters fan. Don't let the critics screw the critics. In this case, the critics are actually stupid as shit. Go with the fan score, A- on Cinema Score. That means every audience member basically that's walked in loved it. My students love it. People my age love it. It's the first film I think that we've gotten in this. We need to transition our cool properties to young people property kind of like ideas that actually hits the mark. It doesn't feel forced. It feels like it actually connects. Finn, Wolfhard, the kid from Stranger Things, and the little girl. My God, she's just incredible. Chloe. Oh my goodness. I mean, she obviously plays. She's Spangler's granddaughter, obviously, but she obviously carries the movie. And Paul Rudd too. Obviously, I got to go there. McKenna Grace plays Phoebe, and then Paul Rudd plays their teacher. Paul Rudd was obviously necessary in this film. Paul Rudd is, I hate to say this, God damn it. Paul Rudd is me when I was a substitute teacher. So go watch the movie. That's me as a substitute teacher. He's showing fucking Cujo. Showing like Rosemary's Baby to the class because it's summer school. Like that's me as a sub back when I was getting my license. I'm like, I don't know. What other teacher didn't leave me shit? Hey, have you guys seen this Stephen King movie about a dog that turns rabid? Like that's me, 100%. So my buddies that watched it, it's kind of, and he's not even a totally role. He's cool. Like he's actually really cool. He's smart too. It's a different, but there are key masters. There's multiple gatekeepers. I would just say that too, which can keep it a little bit creepy, but good movie, man. Go see it. Go judge for yourself. Fuck the critics on this one. I think you'll like it. And again, if you love Ghostbusters, I don't think that you could possibly find a better transition. Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son who directed it, man, the dude did it. That dude grew up on the set of Ghostbusters. He was in Ghostbusters 2. He's also the baby in Animal House, but he was in Ghostbusters 2 as the kid at the birthday party. The dude grew up on the set. This is something special to him. It's his dad's baby, even though him and his dad don't have a great relationship. I know this was something special to him. And when you see all the different cameos and there's a huge Cubs joke reference. Sorry, White Sox fans. Harold Ramis was a Cub fan. Bill Murray's a Cub fan. Dan Aykroyd's a Cub fan. Gonna have Cub stuff. So the Cubs jokes, there's a huge Cubs reference in there that references a year that will live in infamy for the Cubs when it's also lined up with the apocalypse. So it's got
to be 1984.
So when you watch it, look for some of those references. But there's so many good Easter eggs. At one point, they're flying through the town, and on the marquee of the movie theater in the city, it says now playing Cannibal Girls and Meatballs. Both two movies that Ivan Reitman directed, the first two films he ever directed. So his son puts those screening at the movie theater in this little town in Oklahoma or wherever they're at. So really good stuff. But I know I talk too much now. You were talking about the 1979 Bruce Springsteen No Nukes concert that was released on video and audio this week as well.
Yes. If anyone who knows me knows I am a huge fan of Bruce and the E Street Band. Some of his solo stuff is good, others not so much, but him and the E Street Band are a fantastic live performance. If you've never seen them live, I recommend you do. Unfortunately, you don't get to see Danny Federici or the big man, Clarence Clemens, play anymore, but it's still worth it. Bruce brings it for at least 2.5, 3 hours every show. But this concert was filmed in 1979. It was part of a No Nukes event that was going on. And this, you have to remember, this is roughly 6 months after 3 Mile Island, roughly, that this event takes place. And there was always, like, the live version you hear of him doing CC Rider came from this concert. You know, Devil with the Blue Dress, CC Rider, and all that stuff came from this concert. It is phenomenal to see a young Bruce Springsteen. We're talking, he's about 30 at this point, I would say. And this is before Born in the USA. This is before The River was released. He is singing alternate versions of songs from The River, including a different version of the song The River that he tried out there, worked out, and put the version that you hear now on. But I highly recommend watching this. So it's a time capsule. You get to go back and see a young Bruce Springsteen, not the plastic faced one you see now, you know, with too much Botox and plastic surgery, I guess you could say.
Everybody age.
Yeah. But it's well worth it. He is, you know, and, you know, Charleston talks about Badlands is great at that concert. Absolutely. It's also available to purchase on CD and album. I've downloaded the concert, you know, digital. I am working on purchasing the album set for it. I haven't done it yet, but I will. But I highly, highly recommend it. Like I said, it's a chance to see a young Bruce Springsteen, to see a great American band in its prime doing what they do best, and that's playing live. And there's some cameos in there too.
Very good. That's a good one then, especially those of you music guru. Mailman Jack!
Yes.
But I do want to throw this out there. I purchased this last weekend on iTunes. I think it was like last Wednesday, I want to say. And it's a film called Old Henry. It's Tim Blake Nelson. Now, if you know Tim Blake Nelson, he was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He's one of the main characters. I think, what his name, Mirror? It says Mirror in the new Watchmen TV show on HBO. He's been in a ton of stuff. Stephen Dorff, Trace Adkins, but especially Tim Blake Nelson. I mean, he's in incredible.
Does Trace Adkins sing, badonk honky tonk badonk donk in there?
He did not sing Thank God. But Nelson's in Angel Has Fallen, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Again, he's in the original Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton. He's the guy that gets the thing that falls into his head and he becomes like the scientist. St. John of Vegas, which is a great movie. True Don Quixote, Kill the Messenger. He's in one of the best character actors around right now. And he's got a film that came out called Old Henry. And it's like John Wick meets the late 1800s. That's the only way I could put it. I don't want to spoil anything, but his character is somebody. And if you want to push his character, hell's coming with him, I guess we'll say. And that's what happens. These dudes they fuck with the wrong Marine, I guess, right? And it turns into and it's fantastic. It's called Old Henry. If you want to wait, you can wait. I really actually am very happy that I supported that. Whoever, the whole production team, whether it's the director, which is Ponciroli. I think I said it right. Ponciroli. Ponciroli. They wrote it and directed. Ponciroli, motherfucker. Hell yeah. But it could be. It's Ponciroli. So it could be Ponciroli, actually. Ponciroli. I don't know. Anyway, wrote, directed it. Such a good film. Total Western. If you like Westerns, rock it. Old Henry will not disappoint. One of the best Westerns I've seen in the last couple of years. So it's Old Henry with Tim Blake Nelson. Tim Blake Nelson deserves an Academy Award nomination for his role. He's freaking fantastic. He's that good. But I threw that one out there. You got to see, speaking of someone that not Old Henry, but not Dirty Henry, but Dirty Harry. You got to see that this past week. Tell me about your Dirty Harry experience and tell me why Dirty Harry probably doesn't exist in 2021.
So, yes, they were doing a 50 years legacy tribute to Clint Eastwood this week. And it's still going on this week. So at Streets of Woodfield, they are showing the same two Clint Eastwood movies every night. They are showing Dirty Harry, then they are showing Gran Torino. And first off, the similarities between the character of Harry and his character in Gran Torino, striking. They hate everybody. As the line in the movie goes, why do they call you Dirty Harry? And the guy says, that's our Harry. He hates everybody. And names every single ethnic class you could think of. Every single one. He hates them all. And watching Dirty Harry, a movie made in 1971, from a 2021 lens, you realize this movie would never, ever, ever be made today.
It's like watching Blazing Saddles, except an action film.
Yes, exactly. Not only because of the stereotypes that are prevalent in there, where he's calling everyone, not by their name, but by their nationality. Yes, the slurs. Yes, the slurs. And I'm not going to go into those. Yes. We'll just leave it at that.
Sorry, wait, not West Side Story yet. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes. But he uses every slur you can imagine in the movie. And it's not only because of the slurs that this movie would never be made. It's also because of the blatant abuse of police power that Harry does in the pursuit of good, but violating laws to protect people. So,
oh God, we're so close to the 3 hour mark. Actually,
I know,
because I really actually would love to talk about how Dirty Harry has influenced generations of police officers.
And the
in thinking
funniest
that
thing,
they are all Dirty Harry.
yeah. And the funniest thing about that, there is like a 15-minute documentary that they show after the movie about Clint Eastwood's movies, particularly his cop movies. And they talk about how Dirty Harry has influenced just about every cop movie since it came out. That you always have, if you look at the solo cop, always pushes the border, pushes the line. The buddy cop movie always has the stable one and the one on the edge. And the perfect example they give of it, yes, the perfect example they give of it, Lethal Weapon.
But hold on. Mel Gibson just announced over the last couple, like this past week, will be writing and directing the last
Lethal Weapon movie
film. I'm like, oh, wait. So how's that going to go when Mel Gibson pulls over the first Jewish person?
Yeah.
During the
I
film?
wonder what Danny Glover's got to say.
How's Riggs going to do it? Oh, God. That's the first thing that came to my head is, is he?
Yeah. And
are they going to do the entire film in Aramaic? I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God.
And the funniest thing, Mel Gibson is one of the people who talk in this documentary. It's Mel, it's Gene Hackman, it's Arnold. Schwarzenegger talks about how Clint Eastwood was his idol. When he decided he wanted to be an actor, he wanted to be like Clint Eastwood. But it's just fascinating to see this movie on the big screen. And there's a giant Easter egg in the movie that I never realized till I saw it on the big screen. At the beginning, with the shootout at the bank, where he's eating the hot dog and he goes out and shoots the bank robbers and stops them from getting away, there's a movie theater in the background. Guess what movie it is playing?
What?
It is playing Play Misty for Me.
The
first movie Clint Eastwood ever directed.
That's the ball game in Tampa.
Yep.
So 30-10. Hold on. What did I take? I took the over second half. I think I'm going to lose the over second half on that one. I think I took 26. I think that's a 13. Yeah, I didn't get there, but I also took the Buccaneers -3.5 and -11.5 for the game. So I lost the over second half of the 6 bets that I made in the game. So that's good. I'll take that. Kneeling it out, and the fantasy gods smiled on me. The guy that's in third place, Tom Brady, Goodwin, Gronk, and Barkley tonight, and all he
Hey, a
needed
Mike Lennon sighting. Look at that neck.
a few points, and he didn't get it because everybody got benched. So I just clinched a 1 or first round bye in my big $2,000 fantasy league.
Nice.
Needed it. And now my buddy, he's like, I need you to beat Josh. I'm like, I'll try my best, but it's my bye week. Nick Chubb's on a bye week. Kareem Hunt, who'll be back, bye week. I don't know. But so we got to see that. Now, today is the 50. What do we figure out the math? 58?
58 years ago. Yes.
Of the JFK assassination. So,
yes.
Real quick, I can't not ever let this ever go back. Again, I've read all the Jim Garrison books. Who, by the way, Jim Garrison is a horrible person.
And Jim Garrison is the guy who Oliver Stone's movie JFK is based on Jim Garrison's investigation.
Correct. And it was the Oliver Stone film that turned me on to Jim Garrison. And my buddy Stan Holat and myself, we bought all the books. We spent like all of holiday break actually as college baseball players. Most guys are out partying. Him and I were sitting on the couch at his parents' house upstairs with the TV kind of on in the background, but really just sitting there drinking Mountain Dew and reading all of the Jim Garrison books. So that always got me obviously into my nephew Trey. Actually, when my sister went into labor, me and my dad and my ex-wife at the time, we weren't married yet, but we were college sweethearts and we were traveling out to the West. We were in the actual seventh floor depository, looking out of the sniper's perch when my dad's pager went off, 911, which was labor. So my sister went into labor while I was literally looking from the perch. So my nephew, when I always tell him, like, hey man, when you were coming out of this world, I was looking at where someone took JFK out of the world. But for me, it's a really cool museum, by the way. If you've not been to the whole museum there, and they have an excellent spot there in Daly Plaza where the hit, and you realize like everything is really, really close. Like a shotgun could possibly do that because obviously the theory of the grassy knoll gunman, right? Then you get there and you're like, oh shit, that's like 10 feet. That's like right there. The grassy knoll, that fence is right there. Like, okay.
Yep.
And then you walk around and there's like the storage drains where people could go under and walk miles away. There's so much weird stuff that happened there, but it's also conspiracy theory central. I can't imagine what it's like in today, like with the QAnon and all. I bet you it was already like a mecca for like people handing out like they spent money to create these pamphlet publications. They're conspiracy theories. Like it was conspiracy central there. And I loved it. It was entertaining to me, but I didn't like the JFK stuff. If 2 people or more were involved, it was a conspiracy. So it was a conspiracy. More than 2 people were involved. We know this 100%. If Sam Giancana had more to do with it than he said, even more so, which I wouldn't be shocked. Momo, I trust Mooney. So if Momo said that he was a part of it, probably was. So there's probably more to it, but still doesn't matter. It's a cool place to go, though. It's a really cool, interesting, but yeah, I can't imagine what it's like now. That's where they had the JFK Jr. rally, where they thought JFK Jr. was coming back to life. Yeesh.
Well, I was there. I've been there. And all I remember is 2 red X's on the street. And the kill, where he was hit the first time, in the throat, and then the kill shot to the head. And just standing there and looking at it, to your point, the grassy knoll, you're like, man, that is a great line for the headshot from the grassy knoll.
When you look at from the sniper's perch, I was there, it was August. So it was mid-August. So I was still September, October, November. So I was still 3 months, and I know the apple blossoms or whatever bloom.
Yeah.
It looked like a fucking horribly hard shot.
Yeah.
I've shot more than a few long guns. I'd like to think I have at least decent aim. I looked at that, I'm like, Jesus, you're gonna hit a moving target with that? And then when you think that Harvey Oswald had like such a low grade as a sniper or as a shooter, like, either dude got lucky that day or man.
To the one question that's in the movie that I've always asked too.
The guy that checked into the Mexican consulate that was claiming the same day. Fat guy claiming to be Lee Harvey Oswald. That was weird to me. So that tells me there was something else going.
Well, the thing I never understood is, and they brought this up in the movie, why not shoot him when he's coming forward? It's an easier shot.
Oh, it's like a turkey shoot. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's something there. There was something there.
Well,
and then history is written by the winners.
Yep. Well, and also remember, Biden just Friday afternoon pushed back the release of the declassification of more JFK assassination documents until next year from this year. So if they are trying to get rid of this, conspiracy theory, doing all these little things doesn't help it.
No, and the Warren report was a sham. Like it was always a sham. Like again, the amount of people that have died of strange circumstances that were witnesses or material witnesses is pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think it's as systemic as people might think. Like it goes all the way to the CIA and the top. I think that at the highest level for me, it was a mob hit. At the highest level for me, I don't believe that the CIA was involved. I don't believe the government had anything to do with it. But I do believe that if there was a massive job, I think it was a hit, and it would be great. It's a perfect hit because you got everybody else, you got chaos, and why would you not take people again? Jack Ruby and his connections, and how again the Kennedys and their connection, Robert, and how they, again, there's a really good book. I think it's written by the brother or the child of Sam Giancana, and it talks about how Marilyn Monroe was the first attempt to shut the Kennedys up. They killed her. They injected, according to the book, they injected an dose into her anus, and she overdosed and died. And they left her body there so that when the Kennedys showed up, I think it was Robert maybe showed up, they found the dead body, and that was supposed to be the catch. But of course, the president has people that also, it's the Kennedys, for God's sakes.
They have cleaners.
They got out.
They got wolves. They got wolves.
That was supposed to be the catch. And so but you think about the connection between Sam Giancana and the Kennedys, and Frank Sinatra, they're 100%. They're real. They're real.
Yes.
Like that. That's not up for debate. They hired Sam Giancana to bring someone and send somebody to Cuba to put poison in the cigar of Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
That's not even myth. That's real. That's confirmed.
And don't forget the girlfriend of both JFK and Sam Giancana.
Well, besides Marilyn, you mean? Are you talking about what's her name?
Wasn't it Julie something?
Not one of the sisters.
No, not the Andrews sisters.
Andrews, yeah.
No, there was a woman. Judith.
I think they shared a lot. I think they all shared a lot because they go to these Frank Sinatra parties here at the Golden Steer.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So that stuff, it makes sense. But again, that was my first foray into the conspiracy.
Judith Campbell Exner was her name.
There it is. And that was my first foray into like the conspiracy theory stuff too. So like when I went down there, I'm like, God, like you spent all this money to like print out these newspapers. Like most of this shit's like terribly written. Like it's psychotic actually. It's like photocopied, but I'm like, cool. And I took home so much stuff. Like I'm like, give me all your shit. Give me. I took everything home. And I read it all. Like I read some of like the theories. Some of them are like off the wall, and you're like, this physically doesn't even make sense. Then again, does the magic bullet make sense? How does the bullet change direction? So you have a lot of weird things.
How does the bullet weigh more than the amount of damage it did and residual it left in others?
Right. And so there were other people involved, and they did a good job, whoever they were. I think this is one of it sucks. But then again, let's be honest. We all thought that we would never know who the Zodiac Killer was, too. And now we know who the Zodiac Killer is. It has been solved. It's fantastic. So maybe one day down the line, the real story will come out. But the best thing we have really is the journals from Sam Giancana that his children had. And that was that Sam was fully, at least unless he like was insane, he was fully convinced that he pulled off that hit with obviously the help of the New Orleans organized crime syndicate, which was Santo Trafficante, and
who was it that was actually at a hearing for deportation that day? Was it Giancana? Or was it Trafficante?
Probably Trafficante. Yeah, Giancana, I think dipped to Mexico, but he didn't get deported. He left. He fled to Mexico. So
yeah, but wasn't also Giancana whacked? Didn't he come back?
Yeah, he came back. He was actually he was
whacked in his basement in Bensenville or something here.
Right. He was making sausages, and it was probably his Blassie, his bodyguard, or somebody that knew him, obviously, because he was making.
I've heard a name that
his back was turned.
Might have did it to him.
Well, I know Butch was always the one. Butch Blassie was the one that always was the prime. But a lot of people think Spilatro did it too.
That's what I was going to say. I've heard a lot of people say Spilatro did it.
Yeah, I mean, he never bragged about it here. So
yeah,
like there was never a Vegas rumor. And again, the people that he bragged about Bam and M murder. So,
but if you think about it, with Spilatro, Giancana got whacked in a basement. The story is the Spilatro brothers got whacked in a basement too.
Sure did.
And they were driven out to the cornfield.
Tony also blew the arms off of Mad Sam DiStefano, who was his mentor, who used to do the ice picks. Dude used to answer. Mad Sam, by the way, if you're unfamiliar with Chicago mob lore, look up Mad Sam DiStefano. Dude used to answer the door when the FBI would show up in his pajamas with his balls hanging out of his pajamas. Fantastic. He actually had them. He would pee in their coffee. Like, he was terrible. He was insane. He had a guy handcuffed to a hot water heater, peeing on him constantly, and then made the guy's family come in before he let him go. He actually didn't kill him. Made the wife and the kids pee on him before he let him go. Like, he's in goo. And so he was obviously, but he got his arm shot off with a shotgun in his driveway by someone that was familiar, which we pretty sure it was Sam, or it was Tony Spilatro. But Spilatro is a guy here in Vegas. He's obviously a legend here. I got a lot of.
Yeah. Spilatro was a Chicago guy who went out to Vegas. If you want to know Spilatro's story, watch Casino, which celebrates an anniversary today.
26th anniversary release. Also, really good podcast besides the Tainted Glove is one done by the Las Vegas Review Journal that came out during the pandemic, actually. And it was called, well, let me get the right name. Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas. And it is incredible. How many episodes? Looks like, there's more. Oh, Neil Diamond opened. What? It's Hoffa. Wait, whoa. Wait, I swear I have. Oh, no, I've seen these. There's 2 seasons. Yeah, it's Wayne Newton versus Johnny Carson, threats, bombs, and stings. But the first episodes are all like Hole in the Wall Gang, Strawman trials, the Dirty Laundry stuff, Family Secrets trial, which are huge. And then they do a whole episode from the Golden Steer, which is, if you've been to Vegas, right off of Sahara and Las Vegas Boulevard, there's a steakhouse that was one of the more popular hangouts for the Rat Pack and mobsters as well, organized crime figures. It's called Golden Steer. The steak's good. They have a really cool spinning salad. It's really delicious. But really, the reason to go there is because it's the same place that those people all hung out with off the strip. It's where the Rat Pack, you get Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and, Joey Bishop and those guys, D. Martin, they'd come down there and eat steaks there every night after their show, which was at the Sahara, or was the Sahara?
Sands,
which is right, like one more block over down the road where Venetian is now, I think. And so,
yes,
really,
Venetian sits on the Sands.
It's a very good podcast from the RJ, but if you're a Chicago mob person that loves Vegas, oh my God, it's so good. But anywho, so we talked about a little bit. We went a little bit outside of the box on that one.
Yeah, a little bit.
But you know what? We might even split this episode into a 2-episode release. We might release one tomorrow or tonight, and then release one tomorrow, or do we might have to do that actually. I think that's something we'll have to do. I think we're going to split this one in half. So we'll cut it out at one part, and then we'll figure out something, because I have really not much to do this week. It's Thanksgiving weekend. Tomorrow's my last day at school.
Good for you.
We'll cut the shit out of this, but we'll make it work, because I know it's hard to sit down for a 3-hour podcast. But
then you'll get twice as much. You'll get twice as much Yad Dog too.
Hell yeah! And if this wasn't a good conversation, I don't know what is. I'm sorry. This felt like 5 minutes. It didn't feel like it was. 3 hours and.
I can't believe it's 3 hours and 2
1
minutes.
minute 14. Yeah. Oh, the length of the football game.
Yes.
And my winning bets. So anyway. But we again, I know we're gonna dip out of here now. We're gonna put a pin on this, but we voted into our Hall of Fame. Let's just go over the list real quick again. We got Bonds, Burley, Clemens, Helton, Pettit, Manny, A-Rod, Roland, and Schillings. Those were our unanimous decisions, which on this podcast are only decisions that we make.
Yes.
So those are ours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 of that list. I think we talked how crazy it would be that there were 12 in there, but we just voted on 9.
Yeah.
But this is Thanksgiving week, so I know that hopefully you guys are getting a chance to spend some time with some people that you care about, friends, whether it's family. Look, friends are family; they're the family you choose. So even if you're spending it with your friends, you are with family. So for me, I know that Pete's going to close this out, but I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Look, it's a podcast. We appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to what we're doing. I'm very thankful for a ton of you. A Yumper, I can't tell you how much I'm thankful for you, Justin. Our
guy Jack.
God, I mean, again, if I try to mention too many, it's going to be too many now at this point. And I really am appreciative of you guys. But this Thanksgiving, I am also really thankful for you, Pete. I really enjoy these. Getting down and being able to hop on here and for me and you, it feels like we're just having a conversation. We're catching up, and we just have to be recording it, and that to me means a lot. I appreciate you a ton, man. And so I hope you guys all have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I hope you guys eat a lot of stuffing, because I'm going to eat the shit out of every stuffing I get. Enjoy your time. Forgive those who maybe sometimes don't deserve it, but forgive them. Forgiveness is a great word, especially during the holiday season. And you might be sitting down for some dinner with some people with some very different opinions than you. But you know what? Sometimes maybe cut that talk and just enjoy the company of some people, even if it's in silence. You don't have to debate politics. You don't have to argue about vaccines. Sometimes you just need to hang out, spend some time, appreciate being in the moment, because you know what? Today's guaranteed. Tomorrow is not. So thank you guys. I appreciate you guys a ton. Happy Thanksgiving. Again, I'm thankful for all you guys, Pete. I'm thankful for you. And go ahead and take us on out, bud.
All right. I can't say anything better than what my partner just said about Thanksgiving and appreciating everyone. You've given us one of the greatest gifts you ever could, and that's your time, because we know that your time is something that cannot be replaced. So we are incredibly thankful for you taking the time to listen to the random musings and sometimes stupidity of me and my partner. But I'm incredibly thankful for all of you. I'm incredibly thankful for my relationship and friendship with K-Fids, taking this time to basically sit and have a conversation that we would have at the Casa Fuente cigar bar, smoking a good cigar, having some whiskey, and just shooting the breeze. And that's what we try and do here. But thank you, everyone, for your time. Be safe, be happy, be healthy this Thanksgiving weekend. Make sure you spend some time with your family. Make sure you tell them that you love them, because someday you may not be able to. And that would be one of the greatest regrets of your life. So with that, thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's make it a great one. And aloha.